Chapter 152. Now that he thought about it, it was indeed rather shameless of him to do so, but he couldn't be blamed. Who asked that beast to send Soft Bun a love letter? It was one thing to send it, but why did he have to do it right under his nose? Was his Lin Jiej someone whom anyone could poach just like that? However, that love letter it was written, it was really not bad, my ass. Irritated, Lin Jiej stood up and prepared to head to the bathroom. However, Xia Shangzhou, who had been staring intently at Lu Benlei's love letter, suddenly turned around and asked, "Boss, where's your Peppa? When are you going to bring it over for Xiaolai and I to take a look?" Peppa? Lin Jiej frowned, not understanding what Xia Shangzhou was talking about. Lu Benlai, who was in the midst of listening to Lin Jiej's voice message, raised his head and explained, "Boss, Xia Shangzhou is referring to the pet you mentioned a few days ago that you want to raise, the pet that has a huge appetite. He gave it a nickname, Peppa, the Peppa from Peppa Pig, so he's still treating Soft Bun as a pig?" In the next second, Lin Jiej turned to look at Xia Shangzhou expressionlessly. Xia Shangzhou shuddered. As he spoke, he backed away from the door. "I just remembered that Li Qin is looking for me. I'll head over to his dormitory room." After saying that, Xia Shangzhou opened the door and ran away like a wisp of smoke. Lin Jiej didn't feel sleepy at all after his shower. He lay on his bed for a while, and for some reason he recalled what Shi Yao had said to him on the phone last night. "I didn't do it on purpose. I just didn't think that the message was sent by you. After all, you're usually so arrogant, aloof and haughty, as if everyone owes you 200 renminbi. Was he as bad as she made him out to be?" Lin Jiej flipped over. Was he really that bad in Soft Bun's heart? Lin Jiej flipped over once more. After half a minute of silence, Lin Jiej sat up on his bed. After learning from Lu Benlai that Lin Jiej had fallen asleep, Xia Shangzhou finally dared to return to his dormitory room. However, as soon as he pushed open the door, he saw Lin Jiej sitting up on his bed. He shuddered in fear, and just as he was about to leave, Lin Jiej caught him and said, "Come over here. I have something to ask you." Xia Shangzhou said, "Go ahead, boss." His footsteps were already retreating. "Come over here." Lin Jiej paused for a moment before making a promise. "As long as you answer my questions honestly, I'll let go of the matter regarding Peppa Pig." Xia Shangzhou immediately leaped over to Lin Jiej's bedside and said, "Boss, I'll answer your questions truthfully. If I lie to you, may I be struck by lightning?" Satisfied, Lin Jiej asked, "Do I look like an arrogant person most of the time?" The smile on Xia Shangzhou's face instantly froze, and his entire body brimmed with vigilance. This was a suicidal question. "Boss, I still choose you to be calculative with me about Peppa Pig." Lin Jiej frowned, but seeing that Xia Shangzhou wasn't showing any signs of compromising, he could only say, "I guarantee that this isn't a deathly question." "Xia Shangzhou, are you sure?" Lin Jiej nodded patiently. Only then did Xia Shangzhou reply, "He's pretty cocky." Halfway through his reply, Xia Shangzhou sneaked a glance at Lin Jiej, and seeing that the latter's expression was normal, he finally relaxed. Thus he added, "And doesn't like to talk to others. Lin Jiej. Other than being cocky and ignoring others, I'm also very arrogant?" Thinking that Lin Jiej wouldn't get angry, Xia Shangzhou replied sincerely, "That's right, you're super arrogant." "Lin Jiej. Do I look like everyone owes me 200 renminbi?" Without any hesitation, Xia Shangzhou replied, "It's not just 200 renminbi, it's more like 2,000 renminbi." Chapter 153. On the other hand, Lin Jiej's expression immediately turned cold. "Since you think that I look like you owe me 2,000 RMB, transfer me 2,000 RMB through WeChat right now." After saying those words, Lin Jiej angrily lay back on the bed and pulled the blanket over himself. Xia Shangzhou, who was standing next to him, widened his eyes in shock. Didn't we agree that it wasn't going to be a suicide question? How did it become a money-giving question? However, money was his life. After going around in circles, it was still a dead end. Before Xia Shangzhou could digest this blow, Lin Jiej had already lifted his blanket and straightened his body before adding, "If it had been any other time, I would have been able to get over it with 2,000 RMB, but it's 4,000 RMB today. You should know the reason." Lin Jiej paused for a moment before replying nonchalantly, "Peppa Pig." Xia Shangzhou nearly fell to his knees. Didn't they agree that as long as he answered the questions truthfully, the incident with Peppa Pig would be written off? Why did he want to settle the score now? Was he too young or was boss too shameless? It wasn't easy for Xiao Shangzhou to recover from Lin Jie's blow. He took a shower and climbed onto his bed. Just as he was about to mourn the loss of the 4,000 RMB that he was about to lose, Lin Jie, who had been lying motionlessly on the bed for a long time, suddenly flung his blanket aside and sat up. Xiao Shangzhou, I'm serious. Do I really look as arrogant as I usually do? Doesn't like to talk to people? Arrogant? It's like everyone owes me 200 yuan. Xiao Shangzhou shook his head vehemently. No. Boss, you're the most approachable person in the world. You're always smiling at everyone you meet. And you're especially popular with people. As for your arrogance, that has nothing to do with you at all. You're the most down-to-earth person in the world. Also, you're acting as if everyone owes you 200 renminbi. What kind of nonsense is that? There's definitely something wrong with you. Boss, you might be the idol in the eyes of men, but in the eyes of women, you're the existence that the Academy owes me. Lin Jie. Who said he was talking nonsense? Who said there was something wrong with him? What kind of joke was this? Was Soft Bun someone whom anyone could casually slander? Hearing those words, Lin Jie's expression immediately darkened. Gritting his teeth, he spat out a single word, 8,000 yuan, before lying down and pulling the blanket over himself once more. Before Shi Yao could return to her dormitory room, the news of Lin Jie going to the library with her had already spread like wildfire. As a result, she was immediately surrounded by He Tian, Zhang and Leng Wan as soon as she entered the dormitory room. She honestly recounted how she was surrounded by Qin Iran's group from start to end, and she even shared a cup of the milk tea that Lin Jie had bought with each of them. Only then did they finally let her off. After taking a bath, Shi Yao was sitting in front of the table applying her skincare products when she caught a glimpse of the love letter that Qin Shou had given her. In fact, she had received a lot of similar love letters, but she was still quite curious about what was written inside, so after applying the skincare products, she picked up the love letter, opened it and pulled out a piece of paper. This Qin Shou was quite novel. He actually used the most ordinary A4 paper to write a love letter. Even the content was printed. Could it be that this person's handwriting was very ugly? With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao looked at the words on the A4 paper. He forcefully tore his clothes apart and covered his lips with his own. Shi Yao widened her eyes in shock. He barged into his body. He forced his hands to touch him. Reading to the end, Shi Yao finally realized what was going on, and her face immediately flushed crimson. How was this Qin Shou writing a love letter to her? It was clearly an erotic novel. It was one thing for it to be an erotic novel, but to think that it was even a scene of two men sleeping together. Chapter 154. That Qin Shou fellow wasn't here to confess to her but to play a prank. If it's a prank, then so be it. Why must he use such a despicable and shameless method to prank me? Also, why did he have to use such a despicable and shameless method to prank me? With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao tore the A4 paper in her hand into shreds and threw it into the bin. This is too much. I'm going to blacklist this fellow student. It was a full day of classes on Friday. Shi Yao's birthday was on Saturday, but since she wanted to return home to celebrate her birthday the next day, she chose to have a gathering with her roommates on Friday night. By the time the gathering ended, it was already 9:30 p.m. Leng Wan and He Tian had arranged to watch a movie together, and Zhang Yu had gone on a date with a promising guy. At 8 p.m., Shi Yao received a message from Expert of the Monkeys in the Sexy and Frisky WeChat group and agreed to play together that night, so she could only return to her room. The first thing Shi Yao did after returning to her room was wash her hands, change into her pajamas, and tie up her hair. Then, she picked up her phone and appeared in the Sexy and Frisky WeChat group. Expert of the Monkeys instantly appeared. Sis Yao, we just finished a match. Hurry up and come online. Shi Yao replied with a, alright, before exiting WeChat and logging into the game. Juice was still the owner of the room. As soon as Shi Yao came online, he immediately sent Shi Yao a message. A second after Shi Yao entered the room, Juice immediately spoke up. Sis Yao, long time no see. Thinking about it, it really had been a long time since she last played. It had only been 3 days. Yao turned on her voice chat. It has indeed been a long time. I was busy a few days ago, so I didn't have time to play. Expert of the monkeys. What a coincidence. We were also busy a few days ago, so we didn't have time to play. Expert of the monkeys. What a coincidence. We were also busy a few days ago, so we didn't have time to play. Unperturbed by this, Yao asked calmly. What have you been busy with recently? Juice. We've been busy dating. Expert of the monkeys. Don't be shameless. You haven't even gotten married yet, and you're already dating? Expert of the monkeys. Sis Yao, don't listen to my grandson's nonsense. He already has a crush on a girl, so he's been busy chasing after her. Juice. Grandson, let me tell you. The girl I like will become your grandmother sooner or later. These two people must be poisonous. She just casually asked a question and they actually quarreled? Yao was silent for a moment. When she entered the game, she saw that the two of them were still bickering with one another. So while she was in the midst of the parachute jump, she spoke up. Juice, expert, do you know how amazing I've been recently? Juice. Sis Yao, you've always been amazing. Expert of the monkeys. In my heart, Sis Yao, you're invincible. Yao loves ice cream. I'm not joking with you. I'm being serious. Let me tell you something. A few days ago when I was playing the game, I even saved a person. No, I didn't just save a person. I even saved your boss 10 times. 10 times. This is something that I wouldn't have dared to imagine before. Expert of the monkeys. Wow, is it really that good? Yao loves ice cream. That's right. Not only did I save someone, I even killed someone. Chapter 155. Yao felt a little smug from the compliment, and she couldn't help but boast, I killed 10 people. Expert of the monkeys. Sis Yao is going to become a PUBG? Right after Expert said those words, the four of them coincidentally landed on the ground. Yes, that's right. As Yao spoke, she controlled her avatar to run into a room. She noticed that someone had entered the room with her, but while she had entered through the door, that person had leaped into the room from the window. I'm going to become the future sniper goddess soon. She continued her words as she bent down to pick up the loot. But before she could finish her words, a very soft chuckle sounded in her ears. Following which, the chuckle continued. When did the future sniper goddess become so weak that she can barely kill a person with 100 bullets just by standing still? Yao was stunned for a second before she realized that it was 111,111 who had spoken. Will it kill me to keep quiet? Just as Yao was retorting in her mind, a person suddenly jumped in front of her. She shuddered in fright, and when she took a closer look, she realized that it was 111,111. So, the person who had leaped into the room earlier was Mr. Numbers? However, Yao didn't spend too much time basking in 111,111's dashing movements. She quickly spoke up, alright, even if I'm not as amazing as you said, I'm still much better than before. I think I've improved a little. At the very least, Yao was about to say that she could reach her current rank. But just as the words were about to come out of her mouth, she recalled how she had reached the immortal star diamond rank along with the other three. Thus, she changed her words. At the very least, I'm at the gold rank of valor. Juice. That's not all. Sis Yao, you're at least platinum rank at the very least. Expert of the monkeys. Grandson, do you know how to speak properly? Sis Yao's rank is at the glorious emperor. Heh. Before Expert could finish his words, 111,111 had already mocked him. Gold rank of valor? Do you have some kind of misunderstanding about the gold rank? At the very most, you're only at the hot-blooded bronze rank. Hot-blooded bronze is the lowest rank. This was too much. Even if she could not reach the gold rank, she should be able to reach the silver rank, right? Furious, Yao was just about to retort when 111,111's voice sounded in her earpiece once more. Oh, I forgot to mention something. Not only are you hot-blooded bronze at best, you're also a walking robot. Androids were robots that spawned from time to time in the game. In short, they were the ones that delivered equipment. A walking robot. Does that mean that she doesn't know anything other than walking in the game? No wonder he had never had a girlfriend and was still an old virgin. No one could save a person like him who relied on his own ability to stay single. I'm not that bad. I know how to pick up equipment, heal myself, save people, outrun the blue circle and drive. I'm much better than a robot. In any case, I'm definitely not a hot-blooded bronze player. 1111111. Yes. You are not a hot-blooded bronze rank. You are a stubborn hot-blooded bronze rank. Chapter 156. What's the difference between a stubborn hot-blooded bronze and a hot-blooded bronze? Yao suddenly felt the urge to smash her phone. Expert of the monkeys. Boss, you're going too far. Juice. That's right. Boss, you really don't know how to speak properly. Expert of the monkeys. Sis Yao, let's ignore boss and chase after the airdrop. Surprisingly, didn't refute expert and Juice's words at all. Yao was surprised for a moment before following expert on a motorcycle to chase after the airdrop. Other than the fact that 111,111's mouth was incomprehensibly venomous. His skill in the game was so cool that it made others kneel down and call him daddy. Compared to the 2 days when he wasn't in the best condition, he seemed to be on steroids today, leading them to the chicken dinner with 10 kills each. When it was nearing midnight, Xia Shangzhou's smoking craving finally kicked in. Since Lin Jiej didn't smoke, he forced him to smoke outdoors. Thus he said, "Wait a moment, I'll go for a smoke." After which, the group temporarily logged out of the game. Xia Shangzhou grabbed a cigarette and headed to the balcony. Right after he lit up his cigarette, before he could even take a puff, he noticed that there were many people gathered on the balcony, looking down. As he stuffed the cigarette into his mouth, he peeked his head downstairs, and he couldn't help but exclaim, "Holy shit!" Then he turned around and called out to the people in the room, "Quick, take a look. It's a spectacular sight." Lu Benlai was the first to rush over. He took a look downstairs and the same holy shit escaped his mouth. Is he confessing to someone? Who is he confessing to? Xia Shangzhou, I don't know. Let's take a look first. Lu Benlai turned to Lin Jiej, who was sitting elegantly in the dormitory room, and said, "Boss, aren't you going to take a look? This will surely go down in the history of G University. Such a gorgeous confession scene is definitely worth learning. I'll have to take a good look so that I can use it to confess to my future girlfriend." Lin Jiej replied nonchalantly, and his eyes were filled with indifference. With his full attention focused on Xia Shangzhou, he asked, "Brother downstairs, who are you? Your singing isn't too bad." The windows of the balcony were open, and Lin Jiej could vaguely hear singing drifting into the room. "I'm still waiting in this life. I can only be serious once in a lifetime. After confirming my gaze, I've met the right person." There were too many students watching this scene. When the boys downstairs reached the climax of their singing, there were countless whistles and shouts. Even Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou joined in on the commotion. So noisy. Frowning, Lin Jiej stood up and walked toward the balcony. He glanced downstairs indifferently. Amidst the roses and candles, a boy was holding a guitar, sitting on a chair, playing and singing. It's really boring. Is there a need to confess and cause a commotion in the school? People nowadays don't know how to keep a low profile anymore. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej retracted his gaze, straightened his back, and prepared to return to his dormitory room. However, before he could lift his foot, the singing stopped downstairs. The boy suddenly said, "It's now midnight 0 minutes 0 seconds. To everyone else this might be an ordinary day, but to me, today is the birthday of the most important person in my life. Happy birthday, Yao." As if someone had sealed Lin Jiej's acupoints, he suddenly froze. Lu Benlai. Something's wrong with our boss. He's actually working on a project in the middle of the night. Xia Shangzhou, what do we do? I don't think we'll live through the night. The door to the balcony wasn't closed, so it didn't take long for Han Jing to finish singing. After which, he began speaking once more. Yao, happy birthday. Yao, I like you." Countless jeers rose one after another. Yao, I like you. Happy birthday, Yao. As Han Jing's voice grew louder and louder, the atmosphere in the men's dormitory 501 became more and more gloomy. Chapter 158. They could clearly sense that Lin Jie's tapping on the keyboard was growing louder and louder. Just as Xia Shangzhou and Lu Benlei's hearts were about to stop from Lin Jie's tapping, Lin Jie suddenly stopped and turned to look at Xia Shangzhou. What did you say just now? Xia Shangzhou's legs turned to jelly, and he nearly fell from his chair. Boss, I didn't say anything. You said that little junior has too many peach blossoms? Other than a slight chill in his voice, there wasn't the slightest hint of emotion in it. Xia Shangzhou suddenly felt a chill run down his spine, and he shook his head vehemently. Boss, you must have heard wrongly. I really didn't say anything. Boss, I'll give you 8,000 renminbi, no 16,000 renminbi. Lin Jie's face remained impassive. He stared at Xia Shangzhou for a moment before saying, she has many peach blossoms, but I'll pluck every single one of them that I see. Even if she creates an entire peach blossom island, I'll still be able to raise it to the ground. As he spoke, Lin Jie picked up his phone and began typing on the screen. By the time Lin Jie put down his phone, the commotion outside had grown even louder. Xia Shangzhou, who was drenched in cold sweat by Lin Jie's words, dashed to the balcony. It's so noisy. I'll go and close the door. Barely after he reached the balcony, Han Jing's heart-wrenching confession suddenly came to a halt. Curious, he walked over to the balcony and looked down. Then, he exclaimed in astonishment, Boss, little junior is here. What? Lu Benlai rushed over to the balcony and looked down as well. A moment later, he turned to Lin Jie and said, Boss, little junior is really here. Lin Jie hesitated for 2 seconds before standing up and walking over to the balcony once more. Right after he stood up, Han Jing suddenly spoke up, Happy birthday, Shi Yao. My first confession might have failed, but I don't want to give up just like that. Shi Yao, I really like you a lot. Can you seriously consider me for a moment? Someone in the crowd suddenly shouted, I'm willing. Shi Yao didn't say a word. Perhaps feeling embarrassed, she tugged on Han Jing's sleeves, intending to pull him away. Han Jing stood motionlessly on the spot, staring at Shi Yao intently as he spoke once more. Shi Yao, I know that the rumors on the forum are fake, and I also know that you're single at the moment. So, I really hope that you can consider me seriously. Shi Yao, I like you. Are you willing to be my girlfriend? Unable to bring Han Jing away, Shi Yao stood helplessly on the spot, not saying a word at all. The onlookers waited for a while, and then someone shouted, Say yes. Then more and more people followed suit. Say yes to him. Say yes. Say yes. Amidst the deafening and rhythmic cheers, Lin Jie turned around and returned to his dormitory room. Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou glanced at one another, and just as they were about to return to the dormitory room, Lin Jie appeared on the balcony once more. Before the two of them could react, Lin Jie suddenly raised his hand, and a basin of water fell from the sky without any warning. It accurately splashed onto Han Jing and Shi Yao, extinguishing more than half of the candles that were swaying in the wind. The heck, what's going on? Who is it? How could they be so immoral? Amidst the grumbling of the crowd, a police car arrived with its siren blaring. What's going on? Why is there a police car here? I don't know. Who's the culprit? Amidst the grumbling turned into bewilderment, a man dressed in a police uniform walked up to Han Jing. As Han Jing had a microphone, the police officer's words were clearly heard by everyone around him. Do you know what time it is? Someone has complained that you're a nuisance. Chapter 159. As Han Jing had a microphone, the police officer's words were clearly heard by everyone. Do you know what time it is? Someone has complained that you're a nuisance. And those candles, hurry up and extinguish them. Don't you know that they're a potential fire hazard? Remember to sweep the roses on the floor as well. This is only a warning, but if there's a next time, we'll detain you right away. But even if it's just a warning, you'll still have to follow us to the administrative office to do a self-reflection. What the heck? Who's so shameless as to call the police? What a pity. I was just about to reach the climax of such a romantic confession when someone suddenly cut it off. I'm afraid that I won't be able to sleep tonight. That's right, what a killjoy. I've already taken off my pants, but this is what you show me. Either you stop teasing me, or you take responsibility for it till the end. It's no different from being stopped in the middle of XXO. You'll get prostatitis, alright? Amidst the regretful and resentful voices of the crowd, Shi Yao was escorted away by the police officers. Since the female lead had already left, there was nothing much to see anymore. Thus, the surrounding crowd also returned to their dormitories. Not too long later, the crowd that had gathered on the balconies of the two dormitories disappeared without a trace. Lin Jiej was the only one who remained standing on the balcony, looking down at the scene below without shifting his gaze away. Under the watchful eyes of the police, Han Jing extinguished the candles one by one, and swept up the delicate rose petals on the floor with a mop. Occasionally a gust of wind would blow, sweeping the petals into the air. It was an indescribably desolate sight. Looking at Lin Jiej, who still hadn't returned to his room, Xia Shangzhou couldn't help but sidle up to Lu Benlai and grumble, "What's wrong with our boss? Little Junior has already left, so there's nothing much left to see. Why is he still standing there?" Lu Benlai shot Xia Shangzhou a look as if he was looking at a retard. "You don't understand, do you? This is called appreciating the fruits of victory." Xia Shangzhou was stunned for a moment before he replied in bewilderment. Roughly 3 seconds later, he came to a realization. In the end, our boss was the one who called the police? Lu Benlai, what do you think? Otherwise, who would do such shameless revenge? Xia Shangzhou, that's true. There's no one else but boss. But we're glad that boss did this. This way boss's mood will probably improve. Otherwise, the two of us would be the ones suffering. Lu Benlai nodded in agreement, but before he could say anything, Lin Jiej had already walked into the room from the balcony, closing the balcony door behind him. Lu Benlai hurriedly changed the words that were already at the tip of his tongue into boss. He was just about to use some flowery words to fawn over Lin Jiej, when he suddenly noticed that there was something amiss with Lin Jiej's expression. He instinctively shut his mouth. Noticing Lu Benlai's abnormality, Xia Shangzhou shot a glance at Lin Jiej warily. As if the two of them didn't exist, Lin Jiej picked up the basin and walked into the bathroom. He casually tossed the basin aside and washed his hands before returning to his laptop to continue working on his project. While Lin Jiej was typing away on his keyboard, Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou stared at one another for a moment before whispering to one another. There seems to be something wrong with this plot. Shouldn't our boss be happy that he messed up someone else's confession to Little Junior? Why is he still so scary? Chapter 160. How would I know? I'm not a parasite in boss's stomach. I'm really envious of that grandson Song Chaoshi. He should have married off earlier and moved out. I should hurry up and catch up to your grandma so that I can escape from boss's demonic clutches. Scram. You're my grandson. Grandson, how can you speak to your grandfather like that? The two of them bickered for a while before realizing that they had gone off topic, so they hurriedly returned to the main topic. If boss continues to be so subdued, we're going to be in deep trouble tonight. Hurry up and think of a way to ease the atmosphere. You should think about it too. Don't just rush me. The two of them continued arguing for a long time before Xia Shangzhou cleared his throat and said, "Boss, it's Little Junior's birthday today. Aren't you going to prepare a present for her?" Lin Jiej paid no heed to Lu Benlai's words. He didn't stop typing on the keyboard, but his profile had clearly turned colder as he looked at the screen. Lu Benlai coughed twice before mustering his courage to play along with Xia Shangzhou. Of course I'll give her a present. However, boss, have you thought of a present for Little Junior? Lin Jiej seemed to be completely immersed in his project. Other than the occasional frown on his forehead when he was deep in thought, he didn't react at all. Isn't that obvious? Girls are bound to like bags, clothes, and cosmetics. As Xia Shangzhou spoke, he stole a glance at Lin Jiej, and he noticed that the latter's typing on the keyboard was showing signs of slowing down. It was only then that he turned to Lu Benlai and raised his voice. In any case, it's only a matter of time before you buy the most expensive one. Receiving Xia Shangzhou's signal, Lu Benlai hurriedly chimed in, "How vulgar. The value of a present isn't determined by its price but sincerity. If the other party doesn't like it, no matter how expensive it is, it's useless. If the other party likes it, even if it's only worth a yuan, it's still priceless." Lin Jiej, who was in the midst of working on his project, suddenly stood up, kicked the chair behind him and walked to the balcony. Lu Benlai fell silent. He and Xia Shangzhou stared at one another for a moment before shaking their heads, indicating that they were even more confused than before. Compared to the time when Han Jing had confessed, the dormitory was now extremely quiet. Lin Jiej enjoyed the night breeze for a while longer, but he still felt a stifling sensation in his chest. He knew very well that this discomfort was not caused by Han Jing, but by himself. Today was Soft Bun's birthday, but before Han Jing's public confession, he knew nothing about it, let alone a birthday present. Lu Bin was right. Gifts didn't matter how expensive or cheap they were. What mattered was sincerity and whether the other party liked them or not. But other than remembering passion fruit, loquat, watermelon, pineapple, pomegranate, and potato chips, roast duck, milk tea, ice cream, vanilla, in his notebook he didn't know what she liked. So even if he wanted to prepare a birthday present now, he didn't know where to start. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej heaved a long sigh of frustration. He took out his phone, typed in a few words and searched. What should I give a girl on her birthday? The answers were varied. Were netizens so unreliable nowadays? While Lin Jiej harumphed in disdain, he sought out the one and only young woman in his life to seek advice from. Chapter 161. Lin Jiej tapped into Lin Jai's WeChat and casually typed a question mark. Then he tapped on the send button. Lin Jai's reply was swift, and it was the same as what he had sent. Question mark. Lin Jiej paused for a moment before typing. Sis, if it's your birthday, what kind of present would you like to receive the most? Lin Jai still replied almost instantaneously. Her reply was concise and direct, just like her personality. Money. Lin Jiej suddenly felt as if he had asked the wrong person for advice. What else would you like other than money? Lin Jai replied almost instantaneously, but this time it wasn't in Chinese but in English. Money. Is there a difference between money and money? Lin Jiej really suspected that he had asked the wrong person for advice. Too lazy to type, he sent a voice message over impatiently. Sis, I'm serious. Other than money and money, what kind of present would you like to receive the most? Just like Lin Jiej, Lin Jai's reply was also a voice message. In her elegant voice there was a hint of impatience that was even greater than Lin Jiej's. USD Euro, Japanese Yen, British Pounds. If that's not possible, gold would do too. There was no need to doubt her anymore. He had asked the wrong person for advice. Lin Jiej didn't reply to Lin Jai's WeChat anymore. However, Lin Jai was still sending him endless messages. When the notification finally stopped, Lin Jiej took a glance at it. Yen is fine too. Dollar is the best. It's more convenient for me to spend money in America. British pounds. I guess I can still accept it. But I still think that cash is too troublesome. It's best if you transfer me a bank card. If you find foreign currency too troublesome, I can accept Alipay and WeChat transfers too. You should know my account number. After confirming it with his eyes, his sis was even more unreliable than his netizens. He shouldn't have made the unnecessary move of asking his sis for advice. As the saying goes, it's better to rely on yourself than on others. So what if he knew nothing about Soft Bun? He had plenty of ways to find out what Soft Bun wanted the most for her birthday. But if he wanted to succeed, he would still have to rely on his grandfather. With this thought in mind, a glint flashed across Lin Jiej's eyes. Early Saturday morning, Lin Jiej woke up. Not wanting to wake the other two sleeping beasts, he washed up and changed his clothes. Then he headed to the hospital. When he arrived at the ward, the attending physician and the nurses were giving Grandpa Lin a checkup. Lin Jiej didn't disturb the group. Instead, he quietly stood by the side and waited for the examination to end before asking, "How's grandfather's condition?" The attending physician glanced at Grandpa Lin, who had been alive and kicking when he first entered the room, only to find that Grandpa Lin was already on the verge of death upon Lin Jiej's arrival. Upon meeting the other party's gaze, the attending physician immediately shook his head and said, "Grandpa Lin's physical condition is still a little terrible. Perhaps there's a problem with the dosage of the medicine he was given previously. I'll hold a meeting with the hospital head later to look into the matter, and I'll discuss it with you then." Lin Jiej nodded and politely said, "Thank you," before personally sending the attending physician and the others off. By the time Zhang Xian returned to the ward, Grandpa Lin had already sat up with Auntie Sun's help and was in the midst of eating his breakfast. Lin Jiej didn't interrupt his grandfather's meal. When the latter was about to finish his meal, he casually asked, "What's the date today?" Grandpa Lin glanced at Auntie Sunday. Auntie Sun tilted her head and pondered for a moment before reporting a date. Lin Jiej replied with an "oh" before falling silent. It looked as if he was just asking for a date. Chapter 162. Before Grandpa Lin could recall anything, Auntie Sun had already spoken up. "It seems like it's Miss Sher's birthday today." Auntie Sun was still quite useful in times of crisis. She deserved a raise. Lin Jiej was extremely satisfied, but he maintained an impassive expression on his face, as if the person they were talking about had nothing to do with him. "That's right, it's Yao Yao's birthday today. This is bad. I've always prepared a birthday gift for Yao Yao in the past, so I can't forget about it today either." As Grandpa Lin spoke, he began instructing Auntie Sun. "Give the chef at home a call and have him quickly prepare a cake. Also, give the driver a call and have him buy a set of clothes for Yao. Oh, it won't be enough if it's just a set of clothes. Also, don't forget about the shoes, bags, and accessories. Also, don't forget about the red packets and birthday red packets. Most importantly, get the chef at China World Hotel to prepare a feast according to Yao Yao's preferences." Auntie Sun, who had memorized Grandpa Lin's instructions, added, "Do you want the driver to send all of these things to Miss Sher's place?" While Grandpa Lin was regretful that he couldn't celebrate her birthday with Sher Yao, he felt that this was the only way. Thus, he was just about to nod his head to indicate for Auntie Sun to do as she said. But in the end, Lin Jiej, who had been waiting for this moment for a very long time, put on a look of boredom and casually said, "You can have the driver send these things to the hospital, and at the same time give them to..." Lin Jiej paused for a moment before using a rather distant she to replace Sher Yao's name. "Make a call to her and tell her that Grandpa misses her, so he asked her to come over. Wouldn't that be a surprise for her?" Grandpa Lin's eyes immediately lit up upon hearing Lin Jiej's suggestion. "That's not a bad idea. Let's do as that brat says." Saying so, Grandpa Lin began instructing Auntie Sunday. Halfway through, he suddenly turned to glare at Lin Jiej and said, "It's not her, it's Yao. If you don't want to use Yao Yao, you can use my fiancé too." Auntie Sun called Sher Yao at 9 in the morning. Her excuse was that it had been a long time since Grandpa Lin last saw her, and he missed her. Before 11, Sher Yao had already appeared in the hospital ward. After eating the feast that Old Master Lin had ordered, receiving the gifts that Old Master Lin had prepared, and eating the cake that Old Master Lin had instructed the chef to make, it was already 3 in the afternoon. In order to prevent Lin Jiej and Sher Yao from seeing through his feigned illness, Grandpa Lin immediately feigned exhaustion as soon as his birthday was over and shooed the two of them away. Under pressure from Grandpa Lin, Lin Jiej carried the birthday gifts prepared by Grandpa Lin out of the ward. When he got out of the hospital building, the driver was already waiting for him. When Lin Jiej arrived at the front of the car, he suddenly halted his footsteps and looked at the unusually fine weather. After which, he turned his head slightly to look at Sher Yao, who was roughly a meter behind him. He had purposely asked Grandpa what day it was, and he had also purposely used Grandpa to trick her into coming over from home. He had already achieved what he wanted, and the rest was up to him. In that instant, Lin Jiej suddenly felt as if he was a big bad wolf trying to abduct a bunny. Oh no, it should be the handsome man who abducted Soft Bun. Star. Chapter 163. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej cleared his throat and turned to Sher Yao, who was walking up to him, and asked, "Do you have time later?" Sher Yao scanned her surroundings. There wasn't anyone around. Was Lin Jiej talking to her? But he didn't call out her name. What if he was talking to the driver? Oh my! Why was she looking around when he was talking to her? Lin Jiej asked once more, "Do you have time later?" Sher Yao. Sher Yao was still conflicted over whether she should think too highly of herself when she heard her name. Only then did she confirm that Lin Jiej was really talking to her, so she quickly replied, "Yes." Was my reply a little too honest? Sher Yao pondered for a moment before adding, "Is there anything?" Lin Jiej cleared his throat. and a hint of awkwardness flashed across his elegant face as he said, "There's something that I need your help with, huh?" "My help? There's actually a time when I need someone's help?" Yao raised her head to look at the sky. The sun was rising quite normally. "What the heck?" Yao grumbled in her heart as she replied meekly, "What is it? Does Soft Bun always speak so obediently and mildly?" For some reason, Lin Jiej felt his mood soothing, such that his voice even became a little gentler. "My sis recently took on a huge project, and I'm thinking of buying a gift to send over to her. However, I don't know what you girls like, so I need your help to look for it." So he's buying a gift for Sis Jai. But then again, he could have looked for other girls for help. Why did he have to look for her? Just as Yao was feeling perplexed, Lin Jiej noticed her silence. Thinking that she was unwilling, he spoke up once more. "Why? Can't I?" Lin Jiej paused for a moment before continuing. His words might have seemed casual, but there was no doubt that he was trying to increase the pressure on Yao. "The reason why I'm looking for you is because my older sister likes you, and she treats you well. She brings you a gift every time she comes back. I thought that you would know what she likes." She didn't know what Sis Jai liked the most, but it was true that Sis Jai would bring her a gift every time she returned. Even if she didn't have the slightest relationship with Lin Jiej, it was only right for her to help Sis Jai choose a present for her. Hearing Lin Jiej's words, Yao hurriedly shook her head and clarified, "It's not that, it's not like I can't. I'm just wondering what Sis Jai likes. There's no rush. We'll think about it when we get to the mall." Seeing that Yao had agreed to his request, Lin Jiej turned to the driver and said, "Pass me the car keys." "Yes, young master." The chauffeur walked up to Lin Jiej and passed the car keys to him. At the same time, he leaned over to Lin Jiej's ear and whispered in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Young master, I've prepared everything that you asked for. It's in the trunk." Lin Jiej replied nonchalantly, as if the chauffeur hadn't said anything at all. He nodded his head lightly before telling Yao, "Get in." After which he walked over to the driver's seat, opened the door and got in. While Lin Jiej was putting on his seatbelt, he noticed that Yao had actually opened the backseat door and climbed into the car. His movements froze for a moment before he turned to look at Yao and asked, "Am I the chauffeur?" Confused by his words, Yao shook her head and replied obediently, "No." Chapter 164. What did sitting in the back have to do with him being the driver or not? Yao stared at Lin Jiej blankly, not knowing what to say. Did she not get what he was trying to hint at? Sure enough, there's a difference in intelligence between people. Lin Jiej pondered for 2 seconds before patting the passenger seat and saying, "Sit here. You're the driver, so you're the boss." Yao replied with, "Oh," as she got out of the car and got onto the passenger seat. Lin Jiej fastened his seatbelt, and just as he was about to start the car, he noticed that Yao's seatbelt wasn't fastened, so he shot a glance at her, gesturing for her to put it on. Meeting his gaze, Yao thought that he was looking in her direction, so she followed his gaze and looked in the same direction as well. However, seeing that there wasn't anything interesting to look at, she turned to look at Lin Jiej with a peculiar gaze. Even with that gaze, she couldn't get what he was trying to say. How troublesome. Lin Jiej thought in disdain as he unfastened his seatbelt and leaned over to Yao's side to help her buckle her seatbelt. His actions were too abrupt, and the unprepared Yao was taken aback. She raised her head to look at Lin Jiej. His upper body was right in front of her, and his face was frighteningly close. She could vaguely feel his breath on her skin. Yao's heart skipped a beat. After fastening his seatbelt, Lin Jiej shot a glance at Yao, only to meet her eyes that were staring straight at him. His body stiffened, and a moment later, he reached out to caress her head and said, "Seatbelt is the most important thing to take note of when getting into the car." After that, he returned to the driver's seat, fastened his seatbelt and started the car. The car was very quiet, but the atmosphere was a little ambiguous. Lin Jiej's grip on the steering wheel stiffened a little. On the way to the main road, he rolled down the window and turned on the radio. A spring breeze blew into the car, and soothing music drifted along with the wind, easing the atmosphere and softening one's heart. Lin Jiej's car stopped at W Shopping Mall. Yao had never been to this shopping mall before, But she had heard from Liang Mumu that it was filled with the world's top brands, and every single one of them cost at least 5 digits. She knew that the Lin family was wealthy, but did Lin Jiej have that much money to live on? As Shi Yao followed Lin Jiej into the mall's elevator, she couldn't help but touch her pocket. Why was there such a huge gap between them? Her monthly living expenses were only 4 digits, while his gift cost at least 5 digits. Just as Shi Yao was criticizing him endlessly in her head, Lin Jiej suddenly spoke up. How do we proceed? Shi Yao snapped out of her daze, but Lin Jiej's question stumped her. She paused for 3 seconds before saying, actually, I don't know what Sis Jai likes the most, but I do know that there are many things that Sis Jai likes. Bags, cosmetics, clothes, shoes, accessories, greenery, fresh flowers, ceramics. All in all, Sis Jai likes everything that is beautiful and expensive. Of course, good-looking things are always associated with expensive things, so I don't know what to buy. Alright, let's start from the first floor then, Lin Jiej decided. Alright. Thinking that Lin Jiej's suggestion was reasonable, Shi Yao nodded in agreement. Then she suddenly thought of something important and asked, but do you have enough money with you? Everything here is so expensive. Chapter 165. Do I look like I'm poor to you? Lin Jiej glanced at Shi Yao and replied, I'll admit that you're capable if you manage to spend it all. Am I imagining things? Why do I feel like he's mocking me? Shi Yao's lips twitched. I'm just worried that you'll spend all your living expenses and end up starving in school. What the heck is living expenses? It's been many years since I've had such a thing. Lin Jiej couldn't bring himself to tell Shi Yao that any single one of these projects would be able to rake in at least 6 digits in income. After a moment of contemplation, Lin Jiej decided to use a more tactful approach and replied, it's fine. If I don't have enough money, I can sell my grandpa's car in the underground parking lot. Shi Yao felt that Lin Jiej's joke was really too cold. When they reached the first floor and exited the elevator, Lin Jiej led Shi Yao into an LV bag shop. Before he led her into the LV bag shop, he said, since my big sis has a vast array of preferences, you should just buy whatever you like. I'm sure she'll like it. Shi Yao replied with an "oh" before starting to seriously pick out her present. Half an hour later, they were finally done shopping on the first floor. It wasn't that they didn't find anything good, but they weren't all that satisfactory. Thus, when Shi Yao asked Lin Jiej what she wanted to buy, he rejected them all. When they arrived at the second floor, before they could even start shopping, Shi Yao's gaze was already drawn to a coffee shop not too far away. Lin Jiej looked at the other girls around him and saw that everyone's attention was focused on the dazzling array of products in the shop. Even the words they spoke about were the latest designs of a certain brand. This was already the 8th time Shi Yao had glanced at the coffee shop after reaching the second floor. Who could he blame? He was the girl he brought out to shop with him, so even if he had to kneel down, he had to make sure that she was happy. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej said, you must be tired after shopping for so long. Why don't we head to the coffee shop for a drink? These words were really against his will. It had only been half an hour, however. When he saw the sparkle in Shi Yao's eyes upon hearing his suggestion, Lin Jiej felt that it wasn't a bad idea to lie to her. They strolled for half an hour on the first floor and ate in the cafe for 40 minutes. Then they strolled for 20 minutes on the second floor and ate in the cafe for half an hour on the third floor. Then they strolled for 23 minutes on the fourth floor, and sat in the milk tea shop for 25 minutes. Finally, they reached the fifth floor, the last floor of the shopping mall. At the staircase of the fifth floor, there was a well-known brand of flower shop, endorsed by a popular little fresh meat. Recalling that flowers could be transported by air, Shi Yao suggested, why don't we pick a bouquet of flowers first before picking out a gift? The gift and flowers look really good together. Sure. Lin Jiej nodded and gestured for Shi Yao to do the matching herself. 5 minutes later, Shi Yao was done choosing the flowers. 10 minutes later, the waiter wrapped the flowers. When Lin Jiej went in to pay the bill, he took a look at the flowers Shi Yao had chosen. They were light pink, light yellow, light green, and light pink. There's no way my sister will like it, but it's fine as long as Soft Bun likes it. After leaving the flower shop, he strolled through half of the mall and arrived at an accessory shop. When Yao reached the last item on display in the shop, she suddenly came to a halt. The gleam in her eyes was one that Lin Jiej had never seen since entering the shopping mall. The ornament was a bracelet, a diamond bracelet paired with gold, and there was a small strawberry-shaped pendant at the clasp. Chapter 166. Retracting his gaze from Yao, Lin Jiej turned to the saleswoman beside him and pointed to the bracelet that Yao was staring at. "Can I take a look at that?" "Sure, sir. Please wait a moment." The saleswoman smiled amiably as she walked up to the counter and took out the bracelet. Yao turned to look at Lin Jiej. Could it be that he thought that the bracelet was beautiful just like her? Meeting her gaze, Lin Jiej slowly moved his lips and said something that went against his heart. "I think that this bracelet isn't too bad." So it was just as she thought. It seemed like Lin Jiej's aesthetic sense wasn't too bad after all. Yao's eyes curled up into crescents as she nodded. "Yes, I think so too. Especially that strawberry, it's so cute." She really did take a fancy to strawberries. Lin Jiej calmly lowered his gaze, concealing the helplessness and speechlessness in his eyes. "Sir, this bracelet is our spring collection. It's designed by our top designer, and it comes with a necklace, earring, and anklet." As she spoke, the saleswoman took out the other products one by one, not forgetting to promote them. Strawberries represent romance, and their shape is closest to the shape of a heart, so it's also known as the fruit of love. That's why this set of jewelry is called Strawberry Love. Lin Jiej had initially thought that he was going against his heart by saying that the bracelet wasn't too bad, but after hearing the saleswoman's explanation, he found the bracelet more and more pleasing to the eye. So, he asked Yao, "Which one do you think we should buy?" Yao had only seen the bracelet initially, but the saleswoman had brought out quite a few accessories, and all of them had strawberries on them. All of a sudden, she was at a loss as to what to choose. Faced with Lin Jiej's question, she looked from one to another, and after a long moment of hesitation, she still couldn't come up with a decision. In the end, she began studying the price. In consideration for Lin Jiej, she pointed to the cheapest anklet and said hesitantly, "How about this?" Lin Jiej took in all of her reactions, and for some reason, he couldn't help but recall the scene when Lu Benlai ran up to her with a bag of drinks and asked her to choose one. Back then, she was exactly the same as she was now. But did the price scare her? Why didn't she ask him if he could only choose one like that time? Since he was so hesitant and didn't know which one to choose and he liked both, wasn't this easy to solve? Lin Jiej didn't respond to Yao's words. Instead, he turned to the shop assistant and said, "Help me wrap up this entire set of accessories." Of course, the solution was to buy. After all, Softbun loved it. Just like that, the sales assistant happily replied with an "all right" before bringing Lin Jiej to settle the bill, leaving behind a dumbfounded Yao. She secretly counted on her fingers to calculate just how much money Lin Jiej had spent in a single minute. A tycoon was indeed a tycoon, and a big boss was indeed a big boss. Casually buying a gift for her sister was enough for her to eat whatever she wanted for a few months without sleep. But then again, why was Lin Jiej's living expenses so high? Did all rich families raise their children like this? After leaving the jewelry store, Lin Jiej headed to the washroom. Standing not too far away from the washroom, Yao was bored to death waiting for Lin Jiej when she saw a familiar face. Actually, she wasn't surprised to see that acquaintance. What surprised her were the two people following the acquaintance. How did she end up with them? Chapter 167. A slight frown appeared on Yao's forehead. It seemed like some things were more complicated than she had imagined, so she didn't just change recently. Perhaps she had been like this from the very beginning. It was just that she realized it too late. After Lin Jiej walked out of the bathroom, he turned to Yao and said, "Let's go." The young lady lowered her head slightly, not responding to his words. "Yao?" Lin Jiej asked in bewilderment. However, when he saw the contemplative look on Luo Ruoxin's face and how she was still ignoring him, he walked up to her and placed his hand lightly on her head. He shook her head gently and asked, "What are you thinking about?" Yao instinctively shot a glance at Lin Jiej before hurriedly reining in her thoughts. She reached out to tidy up her slightly messy hair while grumbling in displeasure. I'm not spacing out. Also, don't touch my hair. You're so short. It's easy for me to touch your head if I raise my hand. What can I do? As Lin Jiej spoke, he gave Shuyao a demonstration. He raised his hand once more and used a little more strength to ruffle her hair. I told you not to touch my hair. Shuyao puffed up her cheeks as she glared at Lin Jiej. Then she tidied up her hair once more and said, "Besides, I'm not that short." Lin Jiej raised his eyebrows. He reached out to pat Shuyao's head and said, "All right, shorty. We'll talk about your hair later. Let's go send my big sis a present first." "But I don't have my big sis's address. I'll have to give her a call first." Lin Jiej carried the items he had bought in the afternoon with one hand and took out his phone with the other. He intentionally lowered his phone so that Shuyao could clearly see the word, "Big Sis" on the screen. However, little did she know that the phone number behind the word, "Big Sis" had already been switched to another phone number that he didn't use often, and his phone had been switched off. "I'm sorry, the phone you have dialed is currently switched off. I'm sorry, the phone you have dialed is currently switched off. I'm sorry." After hanging up the phone for the 5th time, Lin Jiej couldn't help but frown. That's weird. What's up with my sis? She actually turned off her phone. When Lin Jiej dialed the number for the 6th time, he received a notification that her phone was still switched off. Finally, as if having run out of patience, he said, "How boring. It wasn't easy for me to give her a surprise, but her phone was switched off. Since that's the case, I guess I'll just have to pass on the surprise." Following Lin Jiej's words, the background music of the shopping mall changed to a new song. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. Don't use too many emotions. You're not an actor, so don't try to plot. This shopping mall is toxic. Lin Jiej raised his head to look at the ceiling of the shopping mall before lowering his head to look at the items in his hands. With a troubled look on his face, he said, "But if I don't give you the surprise, what are we going to do with these items? I don't need it." "No problem. I just want to see how you're going to cover it up. Your sadness is too superficial, like an untalented actress." Amidst the song, Lin Jiej seemed to have suddenly thought of something, and he turned to Shuyao and said, "Why don't I give all of these to you?" Chapter 168. Shuyao subconsciously took a step back before shaking her head vehemently. No, 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 these things are too expensive. I can't accept them. I bought them, so I can accept them if I say so." "No, I can't." Shuyao shook her head vehemently. "Throw them away then." Following which, Lin Jiej really picked up the expensive items and headed for the trash can not too far away. Shuyao was stunned for 2 seconds. Then, just as he was about to stuff the items into the trash can, she hurriedly chased after him and tugged on his sleeve. Lin Jiej turned to look at her silently. If she didn't want them, would he really throw them away like that? Shuyao assessed Lin Jiej's expression, and from the serious look on his face, it didn't seem like he was joking. She hesitated for a moment. Then she clearly felt his cuffs leaving her palms bit by bit. Shuyao tried to pull him back, but she was unable to withstand his strength. At the very last moment, she could only say, "Thank you then." Lin Jiej nodded lightly to express his gratitude. He waited for Shuyao to take the flowers and accessories before taking them back from her hand and saying, "I'll help you carry them for now." Shuyao replied with another "thank you." Could it be that rich people were all so capricious? Are they going to throw away the things they bought just because no one wants them? But these things are really expensive. I'm not that close to her anyway, so I feel a little guilty accepting them. The more Shuyao thought about it, the more uneasy she felt. So she spoke up once more, "If you don't mind, why don't I treat you to dinner tonight?" Lin Jiej nodded, "Sure. It doesn't seem like treating me to dinner is enough to make me feel at ease." Shuyao pondered for a moment before saying, "Why don't you treat this as a birthday present for me? I'll give you a present on your birthday too." At this point, Shuyao couldn't help but think that this was a brilliant idea. She secretly gave herself a few thumbs up before asking, "How about this?" "Sure." Lin Jiej was silent for a moment before asking, "Do you know when my birthday is?" Of course she knew. His grandfather would always invite her to his house for his birthday banquet every year. Before Shuyao could reply, Lin Jiej had already answered his own question. "Mine is on the 27th of October." Just like that, Shi Yao swallowed back the words that were about to come out of her mouth. Since he's in such a hurry to tell me his birthday, why did he bother asking me if I knew when it was? Couldn't he have just told me his birthday date? Shi Yao thought for a moment before replying with an "oh" to Lin Jiej's reply. Lin Jiej returned to his car and booked a place to eat. However, he wasn't in a hurry to start the car. Instead, he took out the bracelet and said, "Why don't you try it on and see if it fits? If it doesn't, we can still go back and change it." Actually, when they were shopping at the mall and she almost bumped into someone, he pulled her wrist and roughly estimated her size. However, he was still afraid of making a mistake. Shi Yao replied with an "oh" as she took the bracelet from Lin Jiej's hand and tried it on herself. However, seeing that Lin Jiej wasn't letting go of her, she could only show him her fair wrist instead. It really suited her. Her skin was fair, and the diamonds and red strawberries made her look especially youthful and beautiful. Lin Jiej couldn't help but take a few more glances at her, but the words that came out of his mouth were far from what he was thinking in his heart. "My older sister might be taller than you, but it's fortunate that she's thin. Her size is also suitable for you." Chapter 169. It's fortunate that my elder sister is thin, and her size is suitable for you. She could accept those words. However, he could totally omit the words "my elder sister is much taller than you," because it wouldn't affect the meaning he was trying to convey. Shi Yao glared at Lin Jiej and said, "I admit that Sis Jai is tall, but I'm really not short. It's just that Sis Jai is too tall, alright?" Sis Jai's height of 1.75 m was much taller than most men, and her aura was so domineering that one couldn't help but want to kneel down and call her queen. Hearing Shi Yao's explanation, Lin Jiej scanned her slender figure from head to toe before silently starting the car. Lin Jiej's gaze made Shi Yao think that he couldn't be bothered to argue with her. So, unwilling to give up, as the car drove out of the underground parking lot, she added, "I'm really not short. In the world of women, I'm still considered acceptable." Yes, you're not short. If you round it up, you're about the same height as me, around 2 meters. Lin Jiej casually replied as he paid the parking fee. Shi Yao didn't know how she should refute his words. How could there be such a person in the world? When he's silent, he's so pleasing to the eye, just like a beautiful scenery. But as soon as he opens his mouth, he chokes me to death. He's probably the most typical type of person who relied on their own ability to stay single. Why does this remark sound so familiar? I feel like I've heard it somewhere before. Shi Yao tilted her head and pondered for a moment. Then she recalled how Mr. Numbers was also so vicious with his words when they were playing last night. This was especially so for Mr. Numbers' yes and Lin Jiej's yes. The tone was almost identical. In comparison, Mr. Numbers and Lin Jiej did share a lot of similarities. Could they be the same person? I don't think we're that fated, right? This kind of plot should only exist in novels, right? It's not like I'm the female lead. As it was getting late, most of the restaurants had already closed for the day. So, Shi Yao brought Lin Jiej to the most famous food street in Beijing. That street was filled with crayfish restaurants. A second after Lin Jiej stopped the car, Shi Yao followed Lin Jiej out of the car and began explaining to him, "From here to the end of the street, there are a total of 48 crayfish shops. Let's go to Taste of Home. Their crayfish is the best." 48. "Miss, do you have nothing better to do? Why did you come here in the middle of the night and count them?" Lin Jiej didn't reject Shi Yao's suggestion. Instead, he casually said, "You seem to be quite familiar with this place." Completely oblivious to Lin Jiej's teasing, Shi Yao thought that he was being serious, so she nodded her head and led him to the restaurant while saying, "Of course. I often come here for supper. Let me tell you, if I walk from the south to the north of this street, I'll be able to connect to the Wi-Fi of any restaurant." Fearing that Lin Jiej wouldn't believe her words, Shi Yao took out her phone and showed him her wireless network. As they walked, she said, "Look, you've switched to another network, right? Look, switching to this shop doesn't require a password, right? And this one?" Lin Jiej was clearly teasing Shi Yao, but for once he was rendered speechless by her words. "Alright then, miss, in terms of food, if you dare claim to be second, no one will dare claim to be first." Due to Lin Jiej's presence, Shi Yao was able to extravagantly choose a suite when they arrived at Taste of Home. Chapter 170. Due to Lin Jiej's presence, Shi Yao was able to extravagantly request for a private suite when they arrived at the Taste of Home. The waiter passed the menu over, but Lin Jiej didn't take it. Instead, he gestured for Shi Yao to place her order. Having eaten at the Taste of Home many times, Shi Yao swiftly placed her order. Of course, in order to express her sincerity, she even chose the largest lobster that she couldn't bear to order. After Shi Yao was done ordering, the waiter repeated the menu once more. 1 big serving of spicy crayfish, 1 big serving of 13-spice crayfish, 1 big serving of garlic crayfish, 1 grilled scallops, 1 set of lamb skewers. Shi Yao was just about to nod her head and reply with a no problem when Lin Jiej, who was seated across from her, turned to the waiter and asked nonchalantly, "Are you sure you didn't give me the wrong menu? Do you want a single serving of all the dishes?" The waiter nodded. "I'm sure." Lin Jiej looked at Shi Yao with a peculiar gaze. "Why are you so reserved with your orders today? Is it because you don't have enough living expenses?" "It's fine, I've never intended for her to pay in the first place." Lin Jiej pondered for a moment before turning to the waiter and saying, "Give me 3 servings of each dish." "Sir, you mean to say that you want 3 servings of each dish that the young miss ordered?" The waiter thought that he had heard wrongly. "That's right, 3 servings." Lin Jiej repeated before correcting himself. That's not right. It's 3 large servings." It was only then that Shi Yao realized that Lin Jiej was ordering according to the number of bowls she ate. She hurriedly waved her hands at the waiter and said, No, I only want a large serving. Listen to me, don't listen to him." After the waiter left, Shi Yao turned to Lin Jiej and said, 3 large servings? I won't be able to finish them all." Lin Jiej nodded elegantly. "I thought that you'd order 3 servings of everything." No, I meant 3 large servings." Shi Yao, who had just taken a sip of water, nearly choked to death upon hearing Lin Jiej's words. When Shi Yao finally managed to catch her breath and was about to continue drinking, Lin Jiej said nonchalantly, "Oh, I also ordered 3 large servings this time. It's just that the crayfish has a different flavor. That's all." Then Shi Yao really choked on her water. Other people might be able to enjoy a meal with a handsome man, but she was going to die from it. Who knew when he would say something that would choke her to death? Even if she didn't choke to death, she would probably choke to death. In the end, she ordered another 2 large servings of crayfish and finished them all before taking off her gloves in satisfaction. As her hands were covered in oil, it was difficult for her to wipe them clean with a wet towel. So, she informed Lin Jiej that she was going to head to the washroom. However, she did not return for a full 10 minutes. Lin Jiej had already paid the bill behind her back, but the longer he waited, the more he felt that something was amiss. Eventually, he couldn't help but take out his phone and give Shi Yao a call. The call went through but no one picked up. Unable to sit still any longer, Lin Jiej grabbed his and Shi Yao's coats and walked out of the suite. After asking the attendant for permission, he headed straight for the washroom. He really did see Shi Yao at the entrance of the washroom. However, there were a few more people around her. The most eye-catching of them all was a young lady. In the slightly chilly night air, she was dressed in a very revealing outfit. She had a pair of enchanting purple eyes, long and thick fake eyelashes, and a dark red lipstick. Lin Jiej stared at her for a long time, but he was still unable to recognize her. Then she spoke. "I've been waiting for you for a long time, Lin Jiej." Only then did Lin Jiej recognize her, Qin Iran. Chapter 171. It was only then that Lin Jiej recognized her, Qin Iran. While he couldn't remember the names of the people around her, he did have an impression of a few of them. They were the ones who had surrounded Shi Yao at the entrance of Ji University a few days ago. That dark-skinned and brawny man was also there. Other than them, there were a few more people with them. They didn't look like students, but they seemed more like gangsters. Shi Yao was surrounded by them, and as soon as she saw Lin Jiej, she immediately called out, "Lin Jiej, hurry up and leave." Her voice was still as gentle and soft as usual, but before she could finish a long-haired man standing behind her had already covered her mouth. In an instant, Lin Jiej's elegant eyes were filled with hostility. Without any hesitation he stepped forward, intending to pull Shi Yao away from the group of people. But before he could reach her, he was stopped by the brawny man. The one who spoke up was Qin Yiran, who was standing not too far away with her arms crossed. Lin Jiej, don't waste your strength. There are so many people here, you won't be able to take her away. As Qin Yiran spoke, she walked over to the brawny man's side. As she approached, the brawny man naturally placed his hand on her shoulder. A hint of disgust flashed across the depths of her eyes, but she didn't move away. Her eyes continued to stare fixedly at Lin Jiej. I won't allow you to take her away either. But don't worry, I won't do anything to her for now. However, if you... Qin Yiran raised her head to look at Lin Jiej from head to toe before continuing. Displeases me, I can't guarantee what will happen to her. Lin Jiej, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke up. While his words were directed at Qin Yiran, his gaze was directed at Shi Yao. I'm the one who provoked you. This has nothing to do with her. Let her go. If you have anything to say, come at me. As if she had heard the funniest joke in the world, Qin Yiran chuckled softly. Then she stretched out a thin cigarette in her hand to the side. And while someone lit it for her, she said, Lin Jiej, do you think that I'm a fool? If I let her go, what am I going to use to threaten you? Besides, even if I have so many people and am not afraid of you, what if she calls the police if I let her go? Qin Yiran brought the lit cigarette to her lips and took a deep puff before exhaling a messy ring of smoke. Upon catching a whiff of the smoke, Lin Jiej frowned in disgust. Seeing the look on Zhang Xian's face, Qin Yiran chuckled softly, and her tone hardened a little. You despise me? But I became like this because of you. I'm telling you, Lin Jiej, I've spent a lot of effort tracking you down for this scene, so I won't waste my breath on you. This isn't the place to settle things. She's in my hands, so whether you follow me or not is your own business. After saying those words, Qin Yiran shot a glance at the brawny man beside her. The brawny man immediately understood her intentions. He shot a glance at the others before grabbing Qin Yiran's waist and leading her out of the restaurant. Shi Yao's mouth was still covered, preventing her from speaking. However, along the way her bright, black eyes were fixed on Lin Jiej. Chapter 172. In that instant he felt as if something was gripping his heart tightly, causing waves of pain to ripple through his body. He didn't even have time to think about it. In the instant that Shi Yao's figure brushed past him, like a robot being controlled, he raised his leg and followed after her. He didn't think about whether he would be able to defeat these people, nor did he think about the consequences of following after them. There was only one thought in his mind. Soft Bun had been tricked out of her home unscathed, so he had to ensure that she would return home unscathed. He wouldn't allow even a single strand of her hair to be broken. There were many people walking to and fro along the street, and most of them had formed their own cliques, so no one noticed Lin Jiej and Shi Yao's actions. There were many courtyard houses on the side of this street, but none of them were occupied. It was hard to tell how Qin Yiran's group managed to break the lock of a courtyard house, but the dark-skinned and brawny man easily pushed open the door of a courtyard house and switched on the lights before leading Qin Yiran in. The door of the courtyard house was extremely narrow, such that only 2 people could pass through at a time. Perhaps fearing that an accident might occur, they intentionally left one person behind to follow behind Lin Jiej. Shi Yao was in front of Lin Jiej, so as soon as she entered the courtyard house, Lin Jiej hastened his footsteps to catch up to her. A second after Lin Jiej stepped into the courtyard house, Qin Yiran, who had just lit up a cigarette, suddenly spoke up. Lin Jiej, I'll give you a choice. Between you and her, who wants to talk to me first? Ignoring Qin Yiran's words, Lin Jiej walked roughly a meter into the courtyard house. When the person walking at the very back also entered the courtyard house, Lin Jiej suddenly made a move. His reaction was swift and abrupt, catching Qin Yiran's group completely off guard. The long-haired man who was covering Shi Yao's mouth didn't even have a chance to cry out before he was knocked to the ground by Lin Jiej. Following which, Lin Jiej grabbed Shi Yao's wrist and pulled her into his embrace. Following which, he raised his leg and kicked the man walking at the very back. At this moment, Qin Yiran and the others finally realized what was going on. Cursing profanities from their mouths, they charged toward Lin Jiej and Shi Yao. As the courtyard wasn't too big, the distance between each other wasn't too far. Thus, it didn't take long for the crowd to reach Lin Jiej and Shi Yao. Lin Jiej didn't pay any heed to them at all. Instead, he lowered his head and said to Shi Yao, who was still wrapped in his embrace, "Run." Almost as soon as those words reached Shi Yao's ears, she felt a powerful force pushing her back, pushing her out of the courtyard house. Before she could regain her balance, she heard a loud Kuang Lang behind her. By the time she turned around, the door to the courtyard house had already been slammed shut. However, Lin Jiej didn't follow her out. Shi Yao's first thought was to call the police, but when she reached for her pocket, she realized that she hadn't brought her phone with her when she went to the washroom. Shi Yao's second thought was to rush to the courtyard house. She pushed the door, but it didn't budge. She knew that it was Lin Jiej who was pushing the door open from the inside. She couldn't get in and those people couldn't get out. Chapter 173. Shi Yao pressed her lips together as she pushed the door even harder. The door didn't budge in the slightest, so she couldn't see what was going on inside. However, through the door, she could hear curses, punches, and kicks coming from the other side. She could even vaguely hear a groan of pain. Did that sound belong to Lin Jiej? Was he beaten up? Was it serious? He had to block the door to prevent those people from coming out, and he was alone. How could he possibly defeat them? Shi Yao knew that the most rational course of action right now was to leave. However, it was as if someone had pinned her feet to the ground, and she couldn't move at all. She knocked on the door and shouted Lin Jiej's name, hoping that he would respond to her so that she could know whether he was fine or not. But the person inside didn't respond to her. This made her even more alarmed and flustered. She shouted his name until her throat started to hurt. Then, after a few knocks on the door, a small gap finally opened up. She saw the clean and elegant young man kneeling on the ground. His usually pristine white clothes were stained with footprints, and his beautiful hair was a little disheveled. Shi Yao opened her mouth, but she couldn't make a sound despite calling out Lin Jiej's name. When she was stopped by Qin Yiran and her men, she was clearly afraid. But at this moment, she didn't know where she found the courage to charge at him without any hesitation. She wanted to ask him if he was in pain and if he was all right. She wanted to beg Qin Yiran to stop beating him. If she was angry or indignant, she could just come at her. But before she could say a single word, Lin Jiej had already charged at her like a ferocious beast, shouting, "Get the hell out of here." Ignoring his words, she ran up to him in an attempt to protect him. But a second ago, he had been shouting at her to leave, but at this moment, he had already pulled her into his embrace. With her in his embrace, he didn't even have the strength to retaliate, but Qin Yiran still refused to let him go. Protected by him, she couldn't feel any pain or sorrow, but she could still feel the punches and kicks landing on her body. Those people all drank a little and didn't hold back. Although she couldn't feel it, she knew it must be very painful. However, he acted as though nothing had happened. His tone of voice was calm and deep that she was familiar with. "Shorty, are you stupid? I told you to run. Why did you come back?" This was the first time that Shi Yao felt that the word shorty didn't sound so annoying coming from his mouth. She didn't reply, not knowing how to reply. He spoke again. "Shorty, what time is it? What kind of situation was this? How could he still care about time? Forget it, you probably wouldn't know even if I asked you." He didn't wait for her to speak and continued. "But it's definitely not past midnight. Soft bun, happy birthday." "Happy birthday, Shi Yao." Soft bun, happy birthday, Shi Yao. In that instant, tears began flowing down Shi Yao's cheeks without any warning. Even though Qin Yiran couldn't hear their conversation, her eyes couldn't help but redden at the sight of them talking together. All of a sudden, she lost her rationality. Grabbing a stick from the side, she swung it viciously at Lin Jiej's head. But before the stick could land on the ground, a sports car with its blinding headlights screeched to a halt at the entrance of the courtyard house. Chapter 174. The car door opened and the first thing that entered everyone's sight was a pair of red high heels, followed by a pair of slender calves, a red dress and long black hair that reached her waist. Finally, a face that was so exquisite that it was impossible to find any flaws in it. The others might not have recognized the person who had just arrived, but Lin Jiej and Shi Yao did. Especially Lin Jiej. After standing still, Lin Jai fiercely slammed the door shut. After taking a quick glance at the courtyard house, she walked over swiftly yet elegantly in her high heels. Standing before Lin Jiej and Shi Yao, she didn't even blink. With a slight raise of her hand, she caught the rod that Qin Iran had smashed down on her. Without saying a word, she shot a glance at Qin Iran before snatching the rod from her hand and smashing it heavily onto the ground. Then, as if Qin Iran and the others didn't exist, she lowered her head to look at Lin Jiej and Shi Yao. Lin Jai had intended to reprimand Lin Jiej, but before she could say anything, she saw the tears on Shi Yao's face. Her cold and haughty expression immediately turned gentle and anxious. "Yao, did they bully you?" As soon as those words were spoken, Lin Jai's eyes blazed with killing intent. Shi Yao, who was still crying, shook her head vehemently and said, "No, they didn't bully me. They bullied him." Lin Jai knew that the he Shi Yao was referring to was her younger brother, Lin Jiej. She replied with a nonchalant, "Oh," and the killing intent emanating from her abruptly vanished without a trace. She looked at Lin Jiej with eyes brimming with disdain. "If you can't even protect your woman, how could I possibly have such a disappointing younger brother?" "Just who is your younger brother?" "The younger brother from the same mother as you." Lin Jiej glared at Lin Jai, not bothering to speak to her anymore. "What's with that expression? Lin Jiej, tell me, are you a coward or not?" "Lin Jiej, I'm talking to you. Are you listening to me?" Lin Jai pressed on with a few questions, but there was no response. Just as she was about to continue questioning Lin Jiej, the tanned and brawny man suddenly spoke up. "Who the heck are you?" Ignoring the tanned and brawny man, Lin Jai glared at Lin Jiej, who wasn't even looking at her. "Lin Jiej, have you been pummeled, silly? You don't even know how to speak?" The tanned and brawny man flew into a rage. "I'm talking to you." On the other hand, Lin Jai seemed to have lost her patience from the tanned and brawny man's repeated words. Without even sparing him a glance, she spat. "Shut your mouth. The heck, no one has ever dared to speak to me in such a manner before." Lin Jai was just about to continue talking to Lin Jiej when she abruptly raised her head to look at the tanned brawny man and asked, "Are you talking to me?" Lin Jai straightened her back and took a step forward with a frosty expression on her face. "I'll ask you one more time. Were your words directed at me?" The tanned and brawny man recovered from his daze. Even though he was suppressed by Lin Jai's aura, he didn't think that a woman could do anything about it. Thus, his tone was still as ferocious and vulgar as ever. "Yes, I'm talking to you." Before the tanned and brawny man could finish his words, Lin Jai had already raised her hand and sent a vicious slap across his face. Chapter 175. The resounding sound of the slap echoed through every corner of the courtyard house. Just listening to it alone was excruciating. The tanned and brawny man didn't expect that such a beautiful lady would slap him so viciously. He was stunned for a moment before he clutched his face and spat out with gritted teeth, "Damn it, you actually dared to hit." Before the tanned and brawny man could finish his words, Lin Jai had already raised her hand once more. "Papa!" A few more red handprints appeared on the tanned and brawny man's face. This time, Lin Jai didn't even give the tanned and brawny man any time to react. After the two slaps, she raised her leg and kicked him in the abdomen, sending him crashing to the ground. Then, disregarding the tanned and brawny man's companions, she charged forward and pummeled him. It was only when the dark-skinned brawny man howled in pain from the pummeling that his friends finally recovered from their shock of Lin Jai's ferocity, and they immediately rushed toward Lin Jai. Upon seeing this sight, Shi Yao instinctively called out, "Sis Jai." In truth, she wanted to warn Lin Jai to be careful, but before she could even say the word careful, Lin Jai had already taken off her troublesome high heels, grabbed one in each hand, and charged right into the group of dark-skinned and brawny men. She didn't care who was standing in front of her. Whenever she caught one of them, she would use her slender heels to smash their heads. It didn't take long for screams of agony to fill the entire courtyard house. In contrast to Shi Yao's worry and shock, Lin Jiej appeared exceptionally calm and composed. Rubbing his aching back, he stood up and asked Shi Yao, "Are you all right?" Shi Yao shook her head before shifting her attention from Lin Jai to Lin Jiej. "Are you all right? Are your injuries serious?" As she spoke, she reached out to touch Lin Jiej's body. Her hands were small and soft. Even though they were separated by a layer of clothes, he still felt a strange numbing sensation on his body. Lin Jiej was about to reply to Shi Yao with "I'm fine," but the words froze in his throat. The way he looked at her became a little unnatural, and even the side of his ears began to heat up uncontrollably. After confirming that there wasn't any bleeding on Lin Jiej's body, she finally retracted her hand. At this moment, Lin Jiej suddenly recalled something, and he turned to Lin Jai, who was in the midst of fighting by the side, and said, "Hey, the long-haired man over there, don't touch him. Leave him to me." Lin Jai looked at the few people who were still barely able to stand before her gaze fell on the long-haired man that Lin Jiej was talking about. After staring for a second, she raised her leg and kicked the long-haired man. As the long-haired man was kicked to the ground by Lin Jai, Lin Jiej spoke up once more, Hey, didn't I tell you not to touch that long-haired man? Stop right there." Lin Jai acted as if she hadn't heard Lin Jiej's words at all. She lifted the long-haired man up from the ground, raised her fist, and smashed it heavily onto his face. Amidst the cries of pain from the long-haired man, Lin Jiej gritted his teeth and said, "Lin Jai, you did it on purpose, didn't you? Didn't I tell you to leave him to me?" Right after Lin Jiej said those words, Lin Jai elegantly threw the long-haired man over her shoulder onto the ground, rendering him unable to get up. No wonder when Boss mentioned his older sister, he only had one sentence. She's the ultimate boss, and an ultimate boss that can automatically restore HP and MP. At that time, he was still thinking Boss's sister is so beautiful, and she's so much better than most celebrities. How could she be as scary as Boss said? It was only today that he realized that Boss wasn't lying to him. He was watching television in his dormitory room when he suddenly received a real-time location from his boss. Before he could make sense of what was going on, the door to the dormitory room was pushed open, and the beautiful Lin Jai walked in to look for Lin Jiej. Chapter 177. After she parked the car, he sat in the car for a long time before he could barely move. But as soon as he got out of the car, he only managed to utter 2 words before he vomited. "This is too scary. How is this a woman? She's clearly a bully. I'm only a woman when I'm with her." Upon seeing Xia Shangzhou, Lin Jiej was taken aback for a moment before asking, "Why are you in my sister's car?" Lin Jai replied with an "oh" before replying calmly, "I was the one who brought him here. I went back home first, but seeing that you weren't home, I went to the academy. He showed me the real-time location you sent him, so I mistook him as a navigator and stuffed him into the car." Xia Shangzhou, who was vomiting silently against the wall, could vaguely hear the sound of his heart shattering. "Navigator? Is the navigator referring to me?" Having roughly understood the situation, Lin Jiej fell silent. Lin Jai glanced at the 2-seater sports car and asked, "Did you drive?" "I did." Lin Jiej paused for a moment before adding, "Grandpa's car is in the parking lot." "All right then. I won't give the car to you and Yao Yao then." Lin Jai lowered her head to take a look at the time. Disregarding the opinions of others, she made up her mind and said, "Let's meet at home in half an hour then." After saying those words, Lin Jai flashed Shi Yao a gentle smile and said, "Yao, it's your birthday today, so I specially came back to give you a surprise. The present is at home. I'll bring it to you later." "Shi Yao." "Thank you, Sis Jai." "Mwah." Lin Jai sent Shi Yao a flying kiss. "If you want to talk properly. Don't just kiss me." "Who wants to kiss you?" Lin Jiej's eyes immediately turned cold. He took a step forward to stand between Shi Yao and Lin Jai and said, "We'll be heading over first then." Lin Jai nodded and said, "Go on." "Let's go," Lin Jiej said softly to Shi Yao before waiting for her to turn around and leave. Only then did he take a step forward and follow behind Shi Yao like a human wall between her and Lin Jai. Seeing that Lin Jiej was about to leave, Xia Shangzhou quickly suppressed the urge to vomit and chased after Shi Yao and Lin Jiej. "Boss, wait for me. I'll go with you." Leave your sister, leave. Lin Jai raised her leg and tripped Xia Shangzhou. Just as he was about to fall to the ground, she grabbed his arm and flung him onto her car. They're just a couple, so why are you getting involved in their affairs? Do you like being a third wheel that much? Take my car. Xia Shangzhou's legs went limp when he heard this, and he almost fell to his knees. No. Lin, sister Lin, there's no need for that. I'll take a taxi myself. I have money. Lin Jai replied passionately, how could I possibly do that? I brought you here, so I have to bring you back. You're Jed's roommate too, so in order to express my gratitude, I'd like to invite you over to our place as a guest. No, there's no need. Boss will invite me. What do you mean? Are you looking down on me? No. Let me tell you, I am the boss of your boss. I really don't look down on you. I think very highly of you. Cut the crap and get in the car. 15 minutes later, Lin Jai slammed on the brakes and parked the car in the courtyard. 20 minutes later, Lin Jie's car finally drove into the Lin family residence. It wasn't until the car came to a stop that Lin Jie and Shi Yao got out of the car one after another did Xia Shangzhou finally manage to stand up with a pale face. Chapter 178. Lin Jie looked at Xia Shangzhou with a bizarre gaze as he thought, is there something wrong with your head? Why are you standing around in the courtyard like a fool instead of entering the house? At the same time, he casually asked, where's my sis? Xia Shangzhou pointed to the brightly lit interior and replied, she went in. Lin Jie replied with an mem, before leading Shi Yao and Xia Shangzhou into the house. He pushed open the door and changed his shoes, but before he could enter the living room, Lin Jai's voice suddenly sounded, Yao, are you here yet? Yao, hurry over and take a look at the present I bought for you. Do you like it? I'm coming, sis Jai. Shi Yao replied as she hastened her footsteps. But when she saw the scene in the living room, she suddenly froze on the spot. Lin Jie shot a perplexed glance at Shi Yao before turning his gaze to the living room. Under Lin Jai's instructions, the maids in the house were placing the items that she had bought on the floor. Bags, shoes, clothes, accessories, lipsticks. What was bizarre wasn't that she had bought a lot of every single item. What was bizarre was that she had actually bought a lot of the same item, and the only difference was the color. At this moment, Xia Shangzhou, who was walking at the very back of the group, had also caught sight of this sight. His eyes and mouth widened in shock for a moment before he stealthily leaned over to Lin Jie's ear and asked, Boss, did your sis move the entire shopping mall into her house? Before Lin Jie could say anything, the sharp-eared Lin Jai had already heard Xia Shangzhou's words. She turned to him and asked, is there a problem? And no problem at all. Sis Lin, you're amazing. Even the things you buy are so unique. Without any hesitation, Xia Shangzhou raised his thumb and praised Lin Jai. Lin Jai seemed to be very satisfied with Xia Shangzhou's answer, so she explained to him generously, it's mainly because I don't know what our Yao Yao's taste is right now. So, I bought everything that I thought looked good in every color so that our Yao Yao could choose what she likes the most. As she spoke, Lin Jai walked up to Shi Yao and grabbed her hand. There's no need to stand on ceremony. Feel free to pick whatever you like. As for the rest, I'll keep them for myself. So, was he buying a gift for himself or was he buying a gift for Soft Bun? Lin Jie couldn't be bothered to expose Lin Jai, so he walked around the pile of things that Lin Jai had placed on the floor, and made his way to the sofa in the living room. From time to time, he would glance at Lin Jai's hand that was holding on to Shi Yao's. How long had he been holding on to her? Why didn't he let go? You should choose more. I might have bought too many things, so it's hard for me to digest them all. As Lin Jai spoke, she began pointing to the items on the floor, asking Shi Yao if she liked them. Hey, it seems like you do have some self-awareness. You know that you've bought too much. Lin Jie mocked Lin Jai, but seeing that she still wasn't willing to let go of Shi Yao's hand, he casually said, why are you holding her hand like that? Are you trying to let her choose or are you trying to stop her from choosing? Lin Jai let go of Shi Yao's hand and said, you can take your time picking then. I'll go get a cup of water first. Shi Yao picked a few items that she liked before thanking Lin Jai. Lin Jai didn't force Shi Yao to continue picking. Instead, she shot a glance at the servants by the side, gesturing for them to move all the items on the floor to her changing room. When they were almost done, Yao suddenly recalled something and ran out of the room. Soon she returned with a bag in one hand and a bouquet of flowers in the other. Chapter 179. Soon she returned with a bag in one hand and a bouquet of flowers in the other. Lin Jie was in the middle of talking to Xia Shangzhou when Yao walked in and out of the room. He shot a glance at her, but he didn't pay much attention to her. Lin Jie was worried about the maid's discerning eyes, so while she didn't make a move herself, she still went upstairs to give them instructions. After returning to her room, Yao didn't rush to look for Lin Jie. Instead, she placed the things she had taken from the car on the coffee table before sitting down once more. Picking up her fork, she continued eating the fruit platter that the maids had just brought over. Upstairs, Lin Jie's bedroom door was open, and her elegant yet forceful voice drifted down the stairs. Put this here and put that there. Have you ever learned how to appreciate aesthetics? Putting bright red and bright green together is just too unsightly, you know? I can't fit all these lipsticks on the dressing table. Think of something. Didn't I buy a lot of storage boxes and store them in the basement? Bring them up, it'll save some space. Alright, that's it. Downstairs, Xia Shangzhou's mouth didn't stop moving either, but his voice wasn't as loud as Lin Jie's. Boss, your sister sure is an incredible woman. She single-handedly defeated an entire group of people. Boss, I think your sister is much scarier than you. I finally understand the saying, there's always someone better than you out there. Boss, tell me the truth. Since you were young, were you protected by your sister? Did she beat you up often? I'm starting to pity you now. Boss, what should we do? Yao was in the midst of eating when she heard Xia Shangzhou's words. She raised her head to look at Lin Jie curiously. Meeting Yao's gaze, Lin Jie, who had been silent all this while, suddenly spoke up. You must be joking. Do I need her protection? Let me tell you, she might look tough, but all she does is beat up those hooligans. To fight with me? Yao stuffed a cherry into her mouth as she stared at Lin Jie in disbelief. Xia Shangzhou assessed Lin Jie from head to toe with the same look of disbelief on his face. Boss, there should be a bottom line when it comes to bragging. Bottom line your head. I'm just speaking the truth, alright? But the problem is, it's one thing for Xia Shangzhou to doubt me, but what's with Soft Bun's gaze? He was only doing this to protect her. Lin Jie couldn't be bothered to argue with them anymore, so he cut straight to the chase and said, just you wait. When she comes down from upstairs, watch how I'll take her down. Who? Let me do it. Lin Jie, who was halfway down the stairs, heard the latter half of Lin Jie's words, and she immediately rushed over excitedly to the living room. She looked at Yao and thought that it was impossible. If Lin Jie dared to knock Yao down, she would smack him to death with her frying pan. After which, she turned to Lin Jie and also thought that it was impossible. After all, no one would be so foolish as to knock themselves down. Finally, she turned to Xia Shangzhou and asked, Navigator, am I supposed to knock you down? No. Sister Lin, calm down. Calm down. Boss said that the person he wanted to take down was you. It was Boss who wanted to take down you. Xia Shangzhou explained as he ran. Chapter 180. Lin Jie raised his eyebrows. While his words were directed at Lin Jie, his gaze was directed at Yao as he asked, Are you afraid? Lin Jie, me? Afraid? Let me tell you, Lin Jie, if not for my grandfather forbidding me from learning Taekwondo when I was 6, telling me that girls should be dignified and ladylike, I would have beaten you up 3 times right now. Lin Jie's lips curled up. Had it been in the past, he wouldn't have exposed her, but today was different. He couldn't let Soft Bun think that he was incapable. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jie harumphed coldly. Did my grandfather forbid you from learning Taekwondo because he wanted you to be ladylike? You walked up to the blackboard and said, Hello everyone, my name is Lin Jie, and my specialty is Taekwondo. Then you raised your leg and split the teacher's desk in half, scaring the entire classroom into tears. For half a month no one dared to speak to you. Grandpa was afraid that you would develop autism, so he didn't allow you to learn Taekwondo. Lin Jai grabbed a pillow and threw it at Lin Jiej. Will you die if you don't speak? On the other hand, Lin Jiej calmly leaned back, dodging the pillow that was flying toward him. Following which, the pillow that flew past him landed squarely on Xia Shangzhou's face. Lin Jai replied without the slightest hint of apology. I'm sorry GPS. Xia Shangzhou rubbed his aching nose, not daring to voice his grievance. It's fine, sis Lin. Upon seeing this sight, Shi Yao shot Xia Shangzhou. I'll pity you for a second look. A second later, she lowered her head and focused her attention on eating her fruit platter. It was only after she finished the fruit platter that she suddenly recalled the matter at hand. She called out, Sis Jai. She stood up, picked up the fresh flowers on the table, and passed them over to Lin Jai. This is for you. Lin Jai's eyes lit up, and a rare gentleness appeared on her face. Now Yao, is this the present you prepared for me? But how did you know that I would come back today? I really like it. These flowers are really beautiful. That's not it, Sis Jai. I didn't give this to you. Shi Yao hurriedly shook her head and explained. It's a gift from Lin Jiej. Oh, is that so? Lin Jai, who had been brimming with warmth a second ago, suddenly turned cold upon hearing that the gift was bought by Lin Jiej. However, since it was Shi Yao who had passed it to her, she still took it. Sis Jai, there's also this. Shi Yao picked up the jewelry bag and passed it over to Lin Jai. Then she continued. This is also a gift that Lin Jiej prepared for you. He said that you received a big project some time ago, so he specially prepared this to congratulate you. He wanted to send it over by air, but your call didn't go through. Give me a call? Lin Jai asked doubtfully. She did turn off her phone after returning to the country, but she didn't see any missed calls when she got off the plane. Lin Jai was just about to continue speaking when Lin Jiej, who had been perfectly fine a second ago, suddenly let out a stifled groan before bending over with a pained look on his face. Xia Shangzhou, who was seated beside Lin Jiej, immediately panicked upon seeing his reaction. Boss, what's wrong? Chapter 181. Noticing Lin Jiej's reaction, Shi Yao immediately ran over to Lin Jiej's side and asked, What's wrong? Are you hurt somewhere? Seeing that Lin Jiej was in even more pain than before, Shi Yao's tone turned anxious as she said, Why don't we go to the hospital and get an X-ray or something? Xia Shangzhou was also intimidated. That's right. Boss, let's go to the hospital. Little Junior is right. Lin Jiej raised his hand with great difficulty and very slowly waved it twice, indicating that there was no need for that. Standing not too far away, Lin Jai, who was watching this scene calmly, saw Lin Jiej's reaction, and her lips curled up into a cold sneer. Then while cursing in her heart, she said, Navigator, help him upstairs. Little Yang, where's the ointment at home? Give it to me. Shortly after Lin Jai said those words, a maid ran out and reported, Young miss, we've run out of the ointment. Shi Yao replied, I'll go buy it. No, it's already so late. Lin Jai rejected Shi Yao's suggestion without any hesitation. Xia Shangzhou raised his hand and said, Big sis Lin, I'll accompany little Junior. Lin Jai instinctively wanted to reject him, but as the words reached the tip of her tongue, she seemed to have thought of something and nodded. All right, you accompany Yao Yao. After which, Lin Jai turned to the maid she had called out and said, Help him upstairs. After Shi Yao and Xia Shangzhou left, Lin Jai carried the bouquet of flowers and accessories Shi Yao had given her and headed upstairs. At this moment, the maid who was helping Lin Jiej up the stairs happened to walk out of Lin Jiej's bedroom. The maid greeted respectfully, Young Mississippi. Lin Jai waited for the maid to leave before pushing open the door to Lin Jiej's bedroom and walking in. She shot a glance at Lin Jiej, who was still groaning in pain on the bed. Then she raised the bouquet of flowers and said with a look of disdain on her face, Lin Jiej, it's not like you don't know that I like roses. The more enchanting they are, the more I like them. When did I ever like such a refreshing thing? As she spoke, Lin Jai placed the flowers on the table and began unwrapping the accessories. Ah, why is there a strawberry on this necklace? It doesn't suit my style at all, okay? The more she spoke, the more obvious the disdain on Lin Jai's face became. Also, why do you have this bracelet too? The earrings, the anklet. Lin Jiej, does your family sell strawberries? As she spoke, Lin Jai stole a glance at Lin Jiej. The young man's expression became somewhat vexed, mixed with a hint of displeasure. Lin Jai lowered her gaze and chuckled. She placed the items back into the jewelry box one by one, restoring it to its original state. After which, she walked up to the bed and looked down at the deformed Lin Jiej from above for a moment before saying, "All right, stop pretending." Lin Jiej ignored Lin Jai. Lin Jai didn't get angry at all. Instead, she sat by the bed and continued speaking gleefully. "That acting of yours can only fool that stupid GPS and my adorable and obedient little Yao. There's no way you can fool your big sister. You should know that I was the one who helped you bathe when you were young. I know every single hair on your body like the back of my hand." Chapter 182. Was that supposed to be bathing me? Lin Jiej finally couldn't take it anymore and spoke up. "That was clearly when you were playing house when you were 4 years old. You threw the 8-month-old me into the water like a doll, and you still have the cheek to say that? If not for my incredible luck, I would have been drowned by you back then." Lin Jai, all right then. Even if that's what you said, I know you like the back of my hand. Your little tricks won't be able to fool my golden eyes of discerning eyes. After a moment of silence, Lin Jai leaned over to Lin Jiej's ear and said, "Honestly speaking, you bought that present for Yao Yao, right?" Lin Jiej didn't say a word, but his expression turned a little unnatural. Seeing his reaction, Lin Jai grew even more excited. "You wanted to buy it for Yao Yao's birthday? And use me as a scapegoat? But who would have thought that I would come back, and all your efforts would go to waste? Sigh, it's such a pity." Lin Jiej grabbed a pillow and buried it in his head, refusing to listen to Lin Jai's words. "China doesn't welcome you. Please return to where you belong." I won't. What can you do about it?" Lin Jai swaggered her neck twice before returning to the previous topic. "Don't you hate Yao the most? You didn't even spare her a glance when she came to your house, so why are you giving her a present now? Why are you protecting her even at the cost of getting beaten up? Have you finally realized that I, Yao Yao, am adorable, obedient, beautiful and innocent? Sai, let me tell you something. How am I a woman? If I were a man, you wouldn't have been able to arrange a child marriage. But if Yao Yao is willing to follow me to America, we can still get married. After all, same-sex marriage is supported there." Lin Jai. Lin Jiej suddenly sat up and called out Lin Jai's name. "Oh, are you angry? Or are you jealous?" Lin Jai blinked her eyes as she took out her phone. "Let me take a photo. My younger brother has never lost his temper before, so I have to record it. Stay in your current state and don't move. Thank you for your cooperation." Lin Jiej, why are you lying down? I haven't taken a photo yet. You're really boring, angry? It can't be, right? Are you really angry? All right then, Big Sis will stop fooling around with you. Let's get down to business. As she spoke, she stretched her hands toward Lin Jiej and rubbed them together. "You know what I mean. As long as I'm satisfied, I'll return those gifts to Yao. Are you sure you agree to this deal? If you don't agree, I'll do whatever I want with those things." Before Lin Jai could finish her words, Lin Jiej had already reached for his phone and tapped on it a few times. Following which, Lin Jai's phone rang. She tapped into her Alipay account and received a 8,888 transfer from Lin Jiej. Lin Jai rubbed her fingers together and said, "This money is only enough to cover the cost of the package. I haven't even paid for the gift yet. This was a robbery." Suppressing his anger, Lin Jiej tapped on the screen a few more times. Lin Jai took a look at the new transaction record of 88,888, and a smile immediately lit up her face. "Deal." Lin Jiej pointed to the door and asked, "So, Lin Jai, can you go out now? Don't be in such a hurry. There's something more important that we haven't discussed yet." Lin Jai said as she leaned her head closer to Lin Jiej's face. "Give me another sum of money, and I'll give you a surprise later on. I guarantee that you'll be satisfied." Chapter 183. Give me another sum of money, and I'll give you a surprise later. I guarantee that you'll be satisfied. There's no need for more. Just add a 1 in front of that sum of money. If you look like that sum of money, add a 1 in front of it. Lin Jiej flipped over, showing the back of his head to Lin Jai. Lin Jiej, let me tell you this. I'm only giving you such a discount because you're my younger brother. If it were anyone else, for example, that stupid navigator, I wouldn't help them even if they kneeled down and called me daddy. Lin Jiej pulled the blanket over his head, not even wanting to show the back of his head to Lin Jai. Lin Jiej, are you refusing to cooperate with me with that attitude of yours? Alright then, I won't force you. After all, business requires mutual consent for a successful cooperation. However, you better not regret it. Since I dared to ask for such an exorbitant price, it means that my surprise will surely satisfy you. Seeing that Lin Jiej wasn't moved by her words at all, Lin Jai refused to give up. Since you're willing to miss out on this golden opportunity, I won't be able to save you either. However, Lin Jiej, you should know that I'm a person who values integrity above all else. I'm a person who wants to do business over the long term. If I were to disappoint you this time, wouldn't I be unable to earn any money in the future? Do you think that I'll be that foolish? Sai, if you don't want to cooperate with me, then so be it. Why are you ignoring me? Who do you think you are? How rude. Alright, I'll be leaving now. Lin Jai said as she stood up to leave. She turned around 3 times with every step she took. But seeing that Lin Jiej was still as calm as a chicken, she decided to use her trump card. I'll go check if my adorable little Yao Yao is back yet. If she's back, I'll bring little Yao to have some fun. On the bed, Lin Jiej lifted his blanket and sat up. Upon seeing this sight, Lin Jai's lips curled up into a smile. She retracted her gaze and confidently walked out of the room. Of course, she didn't forget to throw a bomb at him. It's a pity that a certain someone was so engrossed in his acting earlier. Even if he wanted to, he wouldn't be able to go now, or else he'd really be exposed. Right after Lin Jiej's sounded, the phone in her hand suddenly rang with a ding-dong. Lowering her head, she saw that it was another notification from Alipay. Lin Jiej had transferred 188,888. Only then did Lin Jai halt her footsteps. She turned around and flashed a radiant smile at Lin Jiej. There's a saying that's really true. A younger brother is indeed an older sister's cotton jacket. Little cotton-padded jacket my ass. That phrase clearly said that a daughter was her father's intimate little cotton-padded jacket. And little cotton-padded jacket was used to describe a girl. Was he a girl? Unable to hold himself back any longer, Lin Jiej grabbed a pillow and threw it at Lin Jai. Lin Jai stretched out her hand and caught it firmly. Little cotton jacket. I guarantee that you'll be satisfied later. I'll go check on Yao Yao and see if she's back yet. Moi my ass. Lin Jiej forcefully pulled the blanket over himself and wrapped himself tightly in it. Not too long after Lin Jai left, several footsteps sounded outside the door. Through the door, Lin Jiej could vaguely hear Lin Jai and Shi Yao's conversation. He knew that Shi Yao and Xia Shangzhou had returned from buying medicine, and they were currently heading toward his bedroom. He immediately crawled out from under the blanket and laid on the bed, returning to his listless state of being unable to move due to the pain. Chapter 184. Little Jacket, take off your clothes. Little Jacket. Shi Yao, who was following closely behind Lin Jai, blinked her eyes upon hearing those 2 words as she stared at Lin Jiej with a dazed expression. Little Jacket, is she referring to Lin Jiej? As this thought flashed across Shi Yao's mind, she couldn't help but blink her eyes once more. Xia Shangzhou, who was walking at the back, heard the words Little Jacket as soon as he reached the entrance of the bedroom. He stared at Lin Jai in horror as he froze at the entrance of the bedroom, not daring to take another step forward. Lin Jai impatiently raised her leg and kicked Lin Jiej's buttocks. Hurry up, Little Jacket, take off your clothes. Are you trying to embarrass me? It's one thing to kick me in front of Soft Bun, but why did you have to kick my buttocks? Is this the surprise she's talking about? Just you wait, I'm going to steal your bank card in a moment. While Lin Jiej was fuming with rage, Lin Jai, who had completely lost her patience, placed the medicine bottle on the bedside table, bent down and pulled Lin Jiej's t-shirt up. Then with a forceful tug, she pulled the t-shirt off Lin Jie's head. Lin Jie's crude actions caused Shi Yao to subconsciously call out for her to be gentler. But before she could say anything, the upper half of Lin Jie's body was already exposed before her eyes. His skin was fair, and it was even more delicate than a lady's. There were a few bruises on his back, but it didn't affect the beauty of his figure in the slightest. Lin Jie was usually quite skinny, so she didn't think that he would have muscles on him. Even though he was lying on his stomach from the side, she could still vaguely see his abs and muscular chest. How can I keep staring at a man's body? Realizing this problem, Shi Yao's face reddened, and she quickly averted her gaze. Taking in Shi Yao's reaction, Lin Jie didn't say a word, but her lips curled up into a meaningful smile. Holding the medicine bottle in her hand, she muttered under her breath, "How do I use this medicine?" as she poured half a bottle of medicinal wine onto Lin Jie's back. Hearing Lin Jie's soft words, Shi Yao shot another glance at Lin Jie and reminded, "Sis Jie, that's not how you should use the medicinal wine. You should pour it into your palm to warm it up first." But before Shi Yao could finish her words, Lin Jie had already placed her hand on Lin Jie's back. As Lin Jie groaned in pain, he couldn't help but shout, "Be gentler." On the other hand, Lin Jie acted as if she hadn't heard his words at all. Was she really his biological sister? Was she sure that she was giving him a surprise and not a scare? A second after Lin Jie finished cursing inwardly, he sucked in a sharp breath of air in pain. "Gentler, gentler. Do you know how to apply medicine? Let me tell you, I wasn't crippled by anyone. I was crippled by your medicine." "Lin Jie, are you doing this on purpose?" As Lin Jie spoke, he couldn't help but feel a slight tremor in his voice. Even his hands were gripping the bedsheets tightly. Seeing this sight, Shi Yao finally couldn't stand it anymore and spoke up. "Sis Jie, let me do it." Lin Jie had been waiting for these words for a very long time, and she couldn't help but chuckle inwardly. However, on the surface, she shot a doubtful glance at Shi Yao and asked, "Darling Yao, what did you say?" Chapter 185. Lin Jie nodded in realization before passing the bottle over to Shi Yao. "All right then. Babe Yao, I'll be troubling you then." Shi Yao took the bottle and shook her head before replying softly, "It's fine. It just so happens that I'm hungry too. I'll go downstairs and have the servants prepare some food. Babe Yao, are you hungry? Do you want to eat something?" Seeing that her plan had worked, Lin Jie quickly found an excuse to slip away. Upon hearing that there was food, Shi Yao's eyes lit up. "I want to eat glutinous rice balls, mango pudding, steamed eggs with milk, tofu pancakes, puffs, and the cherries I just ate. They're so sweet." Lin Jie, who had asked casually, didn't pay much attention to Shi Yao's words. It was only after Shi Yao finished speaking that she was stunned. "What should I do?" "I didn't remember it." Lin Jie, who had already recovered from the pain, saw Lin Jie's reaction, but he couldn't be bothered to ridicule her. Instead, he said calmly, "I also want to eat glutinous rice balls, mango pudding, steamed eggs with milk, tofu pancakes, puffs, cherries." Lin Jie knew that Lin Jie was referring to Shi Yao's craving for food, but she couldn't be bothered to expose him. After memorizing his words, she raised an okay gesture and turned around to leave. Before she lifted her feet, she saw Xia Shangzhou at the door. Only then did she realize that she was so focused on tricking Yao Yao that she forgot about this stupid GPS. Doing things for money was her creed. She couldn't leave a third wheel here. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jie turned to Xia Shangzhou and said, "Navigator, what did you say just now? You want to use the washroom?" Xia Shangzhou, who had been silent all this while, widened his eyes in shock. He shook his head and was just about to say, "I didn't say anything," when Lin Jie shot him a glance. But before he could say a single word, Lin Jie shot him a glance. Xia Shangzhou's shaking head immediately turned into a nod. He clamped his legs together and clutched his crotch, saying, Yes, 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 I can't hold it in any longer. May I know where the washroom is?" A smile blossomed on Lin Jie's usually expressionless face. "Look at you, why are you so reserved? If you want to go to the toilet, why didn't you ask earlier? Come, come, big sister will bring you to my room." After saying those words, Lin Jie walked right up to Xia Shangzhou, and without giving him a chance to resist, She grabbed him by the collar and backed out of the room, closing the door behind her. Lin Jai dragged Xia Shangzhou all the way to the bathroom in her bedroom. After pushing him in, she said, "Go to the toilet properly before closing the door." She pondered for a moment, and fearing that Xia Shangzhou might run over to Lin Jiej's bedroom to wreak havoc while she went downstairs to instruct the servants to cook, she decided to lock the door to the bathroom, take out the key and leave. After Lin Jai dragged Xia Shangzhou away, the room abruptly fell silent. Shi Yao poured the medicinal wine into her palm and rubbed it for a while to warm it up. Then she turned to the unconscious Lin Jiej and said gently, "It might hurt a little, but I'll be careful. If you can bear with it, just bear with it for a while." Lin Jiej replied with an before falling silent. However, the frustration he felt from Lin Jai's actions swiftly calmed him down. "Look at Soft Bun, this is what a girl should be like. What the heck is Lin Jai? She's a tomboy. No, she's more like a gangster." This was the first time Shi Yao had touched a man's body. In the instant that her hand landed on Lin Jiej's back, her fingers couldn't help but curl a little. Chapter 186. A moment later, she carefully applied the ointment on his wound. Her hands were very soft, and her strength was very gentle. While he felt a little pain when she touched the bruise, it was more of a numbing electric shock. Lin Jiej's throat tightened, and his body stiffened. Noticing his abnormality, Shi Yao immediately froze in fright and asked, "Did I hurt you?" Lin Jiej's entire mind was fixated on Shi Yao's hands on his back, and he hesitated for a moment before shaking his head lightly. "No, oh," Shi Yao replied. She thought that Lin Jiej was too embarrassed to admit that it hurt because he wanted to save face, so she softened her grip even more. To Lin Jiej, Shi Yao's actions made him feel even more tormented than before. But amidst this torment, his lips couldn't help but curl up slightly. His back was facing her so she couldn't see it. Nevertheless, he still couldn't help but bury his face into the pillow, and a light shade of red slowly crept up his fair ears. The smell of the medicinal wine filled the entire room. Aside from her occasionally asking him in a low voice, "Does it hurt? And are you okay?" To which he would reply, "No, and I'm okay," there was no other sound in the room. After some time, Shi Yao finally said, "I'm done." Then she moved her hands away from Lin Jiej's body and headed to the washroom. The stifled Lin Jiej was silent for a long while before he finally recovered from the indescribable torture, and heaved a sigh of relief. "Is this the surprise that Lin Jai has prepared for me? It doesn't seem too bad. Even though I've made a loss, it's still worth it." With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej couldn't help but recall the feeling of Shi Yao's hand sliding across his back earlier, and his lips couldn't help but curl up once more. When Shi Yao walked out of the washroom, she suddenly recalled the dirty bedsheets she saw when she was applying the ointment on Lin Jiej, so she said, "Sis Jai poured too much medicinal wine earlier, and it spilled all over the bed. Let me help you change the bedsheets." Hearing Shi Yao's voice, Lin Jiej raised his hand to cover the corner of his lips. When he finally managed to rein in his smile, he replied calmly, "All right." He paused for a moment before adding, "The bedsheets are in the changing room." Shi Yao replied with an okay, before heading to the changing room and coming out with a clean set of bedsheets. When Shi Yao walked up to the bed, Lin Jiej was just about to climb up from the bed when he suddenly froze in place. He had been lying on his stomach the whole time, so he didn't notice it. Now that he got up, he realized that his body was actually reacting. Closing his eyes, Lin Jiej tried his best to calm himself down. Seeing that Lin Jiej had stopped moving after a moment, Shi Yao thought that his back was hurting so much that he couldn't move at all. So she tossed the bedsheet onto the sofa by the side and walked over to the bed. "Are you in so much pain that you can't get up? Let me help you." As she said those words, Shi Yao's hand touched Lin Jiej's arm. It hadn't been easy for Lin Jiej to calm himself down, but Shi Yao's touch seemed to be adding fuel to the fire, and his reaction grew even more intense. Lin Jiej reflexively waved his hand in an attempt to dodge Shi Yao's arm, but in the heat of the moment, he accidentally used too much force and flung Shi Yao away. Fearing that she would fall, he hurriedly pulled her arm forward, bringing her into his embrace. Chapter 187. Sure, Yao might be thin, but when she fell into Lin Jiej's embrace, he still felt a slight pain in his chest. But that pain only lasted for a second before Lin Jiej's senses were flooded with a sweet and tender sensation. The nefarious fire in his body burned to its peak, burning Lin Jiej's mouth dry up, and his throat constricted. Sure, Yao was dazed for 2 seconds before she finally recovered. She had actually buried her face in Lin Jiej's neck. He wasn't wearing any clothes, so she could clearly feel the smoothness of his skin. Sure, Yao's face reddened, and she subconsciously tried to struggle free from Lin Jiej's embrace. It was hard to tell whether it was due to nervousness or panic, but Sure Yao tried to struggle free from Lin Jiej's embrace, but to no avail. Her face turned even redder, and she became even more flustered. The more flustered she was, the more flustered her thoughts became. In a moment of desperation, she tried to break free from his embrace, but she ended up reaching for his shoulder instead. Lin Jiej's breathing abruptly halted, and the fingers that were holding onto Sure Yao's wrist started trembling. Just what in the world is Soft Bun doing? Why is she moving around like this, and why is her hand on my shoulder? Doesn't she know that she's trying to take my life? Lin Jiej didn't dare to move in the slightest, fearing that he would offend her in any way. But Sure Yao's movements didn't stop. Her face was almost touching his ear, and the soft breath she was exhaling just happened to land right on the base of his ear. Lin Jiej's Adam's apple moved slightly, and he couldn't help but curse inwardly, is Soft Bun a seductress? She's such a seductress, and a torturous seductress at that. The heck? Torturous seductress. Torturous seductress. Can someone tell me where I learned those words from? Completely oblivious to Lin Jiej's abnormality, Sure Yao's hand inadvertently touched Lin Jiej's chest. Lin Jiej's body jolted, and he abruptly flipped over, pressing Sure Yao beneath his body. This time this seductress Soft Bun won't be able to move anymore, right? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej lowered his head, and his gaze met with Sure Yao's eyes. Sure Yao didn't move anymore as he wished. However, Lin Jiej couldn't help but feel that this position was much better than having her squirming around on his body. Her eyes were big, and there was a bright light in her dark eyes. Her lips were red. That appearance. No matter how you looked at it, why did it look like she was seducing someone to commit a crime? His rationality told him that he should let go of her and leave, but it was as if a spell had been cast on him. He couldn't move at all. He didn't know how long he had been supporting himself on top of her and staring at her. His head couldn't help but start to sink bit by bit. Just as his lips were about to touch hers, the door to the bedroom suddenly opened, and Lin Jiej's hurried voice sounded, "Yao, are you done applying the ointment? Supper is ready, come and eat." Lin Jiej froze for a moment, but less than half a second later, she spoke up once more. "I'm sorry, but I'll have to trouble you to continue." "Continue, your little brother, continue." Lin Jiej's ruckus jolted Lin Jiej back to his senses. He swiftly left Sure Yao's body and rushed into the washroom. Chapter 188. 10 minutes later, Lin Jiej walked out of the bathroom in his bathrobe, only to see Lin Jiej standing guard by the door. Ignoring Lin Jiej walked straight into the changing room and locked the door from the inside. After changing into a clean shirt, he walked out of the changing room, and Lin Jiej was still there. This time, upon seeing him, Lin Jiej immediately spoke up. "I've already given the things you bought to Yao." As if Lin Jiej didn't exist, Lin Jiej walked over to the dressing table and picked up the hairdryer to dry his hair. Lin Jiej walked up to him and continued, "Lin Jiej, the only surprise I've prepared for you is to have Yao apply medicine for you. I didn't go back on my word, did I? How could I have known that you'd actually push my innocent little Yao onto the bed?" Lin Jiej stopped drying his hair and glared at Lin Jiej. "Lin Jiej, all right, it's your innocent little Yao." Lin Jiej remained impassive, not reacting at all. Lin Jiej continued, "Why don't we do this instead? I'll give you an after-sales service right now." As she spoke, Lin Jiej took out her phone and reluctantly tapped on it. Then, the phone that Lin Jiej had placed on the table suddenly rang. It was a notification from Alipay. Lin Jiej had transferred 88 renminbi to him. 88 renminbi, and she still has the cheek to take it out? Lin Jiej still had no intention of saying anything. He continued to blow his hair. I'll add a little more then. As Lin Jai said those words, Lin Jiej received another sum of money from Alipay. Can't I be a little more generous this time around? Seeing that Lin Jiej was still unmoved, Lin Jai continued transferring her RMB. Is it enough this time around? Not enough. Lin Jai gritted her teeth and transferred another RMB. Lin Jiej, let me tell you, this is my bottom line. I can't go any further than that. Besides, you've only transferred me money 3 times while I've transferred you money 4 times. Also, the amount I transferred last time is equal to yours. Also, let me tell you, the after-sales service on Taobao will only refund you 10 renminbi at most. It's really rare to see someone as generous as me. Your skin is as thick as the city walls. Indeed, it's rare to see someone as generous as you. Lin Jiej put down his phone and scratched his head in front of the mirror. Lin Jai put away her phone and leaned over to Lin Jiej with a gossipy look on her face. Hey, how far did you go with Yao? Did they kiss? Did you touch it? At the end of her question, Lin Jai noticed that Lin Jiej's expression was growing colder and colder, so she couldn't help but ask in disappointment, it can't be, right? Didn't do anything? Lin Jiej, can you really do it? 1 hour. 1 hour. You didn't do anything for an hour? Some men are done in 3 seconds. Lin Jiej, are you sick in the head? You're the one who's sick. Your whole family is sick. Besides, it was none of her business whether he could do it or not. If even Soft Bun isn't worried about it, why should I be? Lin Jiej turned around and walked toward the bedroom door. Following behind him, Lin Jai exclaimed, my gosh, why is my younger brother so noob? Lin Jiej, don't walk so quickly. You need to watch some Japanese films to develop your knowledge in that field. If you're too embarrassed to buy them, I can buy them for you. Just pay me the money and remember to pay the purchasing fee. That you're tuning into the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.